Hello and welcome here, everyone. We are one step closer to the grand finals of the Aegis Esports Vanguard League, and you know it's going to be spicy as we are headed to the semifinals here today to see which team can gather 3 wins and move themselves one step closer to the crown. My name is Orbital. With me is Jack, and we will be your casters for the upcoming series. Jack, how you doing today?
Doing excellent, hot off a combine, excited to get back into some tournament play, and happy to see some familiar faces and 2 teams very familiar with one another.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we got the ever so talented Team 6 Gaming going up against DeathMark Esport Voltigeurs, and what's interesting is they had the exact same map styling from their quarterfinals. We actually had a 3-1 from T6 Gaming over Kitsuo's Goons, and then DeathMark Esports Voltigeurs narrowly eked out. I want to say that in the nicest way possible, but they went 3-2 against Ember Fortnite, really mirroring the other side of the bracket that also saw a 3-2-3-1 in that same instance. So the Vanguard division is looking really, really tense.
Absolutely, and I mean, eked out is as polite as you can say when you reverse sweep to make it to the semi-finals, and them winning here would be so poetic. They start the season off with a 2-0 loss to Team 6 in their first game of the AVL split. Now they get their chance at revenge. Do they have the stamina left? It's hard to go reverse sweep in the very first round of that tournament. So you come into this second game, you've got a week off. Have they regained enough to pull off this win?
I think that is a very good question. And honestly, let's take a look at some of the players and see what they got to show for us. Starting off with Team 6 Gaming, starting off 6-0 in the regular season. Only dropped 2 games there, and now a third in the postseason. We got Zacian, Mr. Fluffy, James, as well as Arya and Pro Jackie. All 5 of these players giving us a treat with 3 subs on the roster.
Yeah, and up and down this roster, you have standout performers. Zacian, first in KDA across the entire league, not something you often see out of a top laner. Mr. Fluffy is the highest rated player in all of the AVL. Jameeb had the 2nd highest KDA. And Arya, a very special player, top lane main, but has been playing ADC this entire split. Just took place in a combine we did, and Alk Battery of LPL English and many other fames says this is one of his best NA prospects that he's keeping his eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of casting Arya in multiple different tournaments, and it's a treat. Someone that I've always enjoyed watching play, and so flexible in that styling as well. They'll be facing off against DeathMark Esport Voltigeurs, or DMEV. They are rocking out with Jaybear, as well as Cripsus, Wasabi, as well as Reynars and Spy, with 4 subs on the side if need be.
This is, I think, the perfect dichotomy to what Team 6 Gaming is. They all have such unique styles, veterans of the scene, especially surrounding the core of Jaybear. He has been in pretty much every Aegis split I have ever seen. The trademark Darius. They've got so many pocket picks, and Reynars, 2nd fewest death per game. So when you take a veteran laner, you put them together with a steady, stable 80 carry, and then you put Spy next to them, a psycho who's ripping pike games like his life depends on it. This is going to be a very fun team to watch, and the type of play that makes those reverse sweeps possible.
Yep, they're going to be rocking out and seeing what they can do, as of course this entire series hinges on them being able to step up and face off against some very notable names. As you mentioned, Arya in that bottom lane. Reynars and Spy will have to do their best to kind of keep themselves in the mix, and knowing that the new season has kind of bounced out and we've seen games go every which way. We've seen the meta gently shift. Obviously the Malphite, the Jace are very high prios. I'm interested to see what they decide to go for, as we got TSG on the blue side and DMEV on that red to kick things off.
I love that you bring up the new season, because I feel like a lot of those early excuses are now kind of out of the way. There's no more like, well, we can't get a lot of practice on it, or it just came out, we don't know what's good yet. We've got most pro regions having started their games playing on it. There's tons of data. People have had access to solo queue for over a week now, and I think there should be some confidence for the players knowing it's not that different. There are a couple big champs that have exploded onto the scene. You mentioned the Malphite. The Jace is another big one. If you've practiced it, I'd suggest playing it here because it's very strong. But for the most part, the core fundamentals have stayed the same, and you can see that reflected in these bans so far.
Yep, Corki and Malphite immediately off the tables. I'm amazed TSG are actually banning the Malphite. They're the ones saying we aren't really going to play the Malphite, so we can't give it over. On DMEV's side, these are very role standard. The Wukong obviously still highly favored by a lot in the pro scene, still saying, hey, it's a very good jungler all around to be able to hang on to. The Azir, though, kind of targeted towards that mid lane. We've seen Azir have a lot of success thanks to the Dusk and Dawn adjustment, so seeing that built a little bit more. The Sion on the flip side, though, still targeting that top side, still targeting that scaling with the Nico afterwards.
Orianna is the second highest prio champ, so no shock, pun unintended, that they get selected first. You can build a team around that champ so simply. You can play it utility, damage, team fight, so adaptable, and gives you a lot of options where you want to go in the jungle, your other solo lane. I'm surprised Mbessa's not the focus here. Zacian, like we said, very lofty accolades this split, but has a very specific style. There's only one way you can be a top laner, have that few deaths, and it's when you play only Ornn and Shen, or at least mainly Ornn and Shen. But I love the Ziggs answer because it does well into Orianna, and you now have a flex. You're taking the onus in draft to shape how your opponent tries to counter you, because you'll always have the counter punch available when you go for these flexible picks.
Yeah, I think a big thing with this as well is you can play it in the mid and bot side, as you said. A lot of the gold generation going into the Ziggs means you spike with those items a little bit higher. It's a nice bonus if you do decide to put it down to the bot side. DMEV, though, going with a, I want to say, little bit sideline jungler. Skarner has been very popular, obviously, when it comes to TFT, but when it comes to League, I think it's more like second and third string, not exactly the highest rated in there, but saying we want that CC ability, we want that ability to kind of chase afterwards. But you see TSG almost answer back in kind by drafting very mobile champions, those that can get away from that Skarner.
It's so funny that I started, I'm like, oh, you get the Ziggs, and now you kind of get the step up, and TSG is like, yeah, we don't care. We're playing double range bot, so you can put them wherever you want, really. We have our own strategy. And while I do like the Skarner pick, I think, as you said, it is probably below the Bruisers and some of these AP junglers. It can still have a place. But now, because of that double range bot, DMEV is forced to kill the flex, try and get something that can survive the lane, and I like the Jarvan prio because now you're trying to figure out how you're going to get Skarner through the game. Put themselves in an interesting position here, have DMEV.
Yeah, you go ahead and focus them out, say, okay, and I like the fact that on the side, TSG are saying, okay, let's take out the other enchanters that are going to give Sivir a very nice laning phase. DMEV have to recognize that this pinch that they're going for might not work, so they need to pivot to maybe a top lane ban to come on out. Maybe look at getting that really nice counter pick at the very end. It's a scary prospect, I think, overall, because as you said, it's a weird spot, but there's so many options up and available. They are going to focus on the jungle, take out the Xin Zhao. That was actually the prio that I was thinking of if you want to engage while having that ability to gently CC. I like the Xin Zhao a little bit better, especially with opening games. I feel like the Skarner could have been saved a little bit later, but that has been kind of the go-to factor, as you said, for DMEV. They're a squad that actively are just sitting there going, we got to come up with something spicy. On the answer on the backside, though, I'm a little bit surprised. I almost would have expected TSG to run the Olaf, but they ban out the Olaf for the top side.
I was thinking maybe a Nami ban coming through from TSG, not wanting that to go alongside the Sivir, pretty decent pair into the Ezreal Karma throughout the course of the game. But Olaf, I'm going to guess that this is very J-Bear focused, something they probably play a lot of. And there it is. I called it out in the roster page, but Pike for Spy, most played in solo queue. This guy is incredible on the champ, and they're going the opposite direction. We thought they'd go range into it, but now they're just doubling down on the aggression,
which is a little bit surprising. Normally when you see a Pike, you see a lot more aggressive ADC. The Sivir still wants to sit a little bit further back. Bouncing boomerangs will do work, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So it really is a lot more on the Pike to almost sit up with the Skarner on the back end. So for DMEV, we see what they're looking for. TSG, though, they lock in their standard. It's a Trundle in the jungle going ahead and chewing through that HP bar with the Subjugate, and then an Ornn in the top side. A gentle flex of what you can do. It's a bruiser, it's a tank, it's a mage, it's everything all in 1. So for DMEV, are you going to go for a bruiser? Are you going to try and break through the HP bar? Or are you going to play a little bit safer? Are you going to also go for that tank on the top side? They are going to go for a bruiser instead. I like this very spicy draft from DMEV to start things off.
I like that decision as well. When you have Skarner in the jungle, you've already got very reliable front line and CC for the fights, so you can afford to go for something more side lane focused. I also like for TSG the Trundle selection because it's very good at neutralizing this Skarner and taking away their best ability, which is to dive into the entire team, grab them up, and withstand any damage they take. One click of Subjugate, and that is no longer on your side. So with all that being considered, I think TSG very happy with what they have team comp wise, but DMEV did get a lot of very comfortable selections for themselves, so I think they might have to just rely on their execution on this one.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth, and probably Pikes as well. Honestly, we could see the executes come through and everything we just talked about towards that mid to late. TSG might not have that advantage, but it is up to the players at the end of the day. A little bit more meta versus a little bit more unique on the other side. We'll see which team decides to come out on top. We are going to go to a very short break, make sure the players are set to go, and hopefully we get some eyes on maybe the summoner spells and the keystones. We'll go and take a very short break. Once we come back, it's live on the Rift for the first game of the AVL semi-finals between TSG and DMEV. Don't go anywhere.
So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? Tell me why it won't ever be the same. I'll burn it all, no matter who's to blame. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away? Tell me why I won't ever feel the same. I'll try everything until you're back again.
Alrighty, we are here. It took a while. We're so sorry, but we are getting some gameplay off of some very lovely people over at DME. We are currently catching theirs because ours just decided to break. Thanks, Rito. We are looking at about 25 minutes into the game. Do not ask us why, but we are here. Team 6 Gaming currently up with Soul as well as looking at Baron and about 5 kills over. And they're looking for a little bit more as DeathMark Esports is in a rough little time because, my God, they have had a rough run of things, even though the gold is pretty much dead even.
Yeah, everything we said in the draft seems to have come to fruition over the past 25 and a half minutes. We weren't able to see again. Merci to DeathMark Esports for the feed. Much appreciated. They do still have, as we kind of settle into this odd game state, they have some positives going for them. Their support's kind of just around because you're late game Pike, but Sivir seems to be farming decently well. Ziggs has some good items. The only ones not doing great are your tanks, but Yorick has 3 items. So if they can wait out this Baron, try and neutralize the map, maybe play for Elder Dragon, you know, there's a couple of aspects they could still look for, but for the most part, it's going to be a tough one. They're going to have to rely on their wave clear for a while.
Yeah, I mean, just give it a little bit of time. Maybe they get some benefits on the back end, but at the current moment, we will take it bit by bit. Good wave clear coming out of Team 6 Gaming. So far, they gathered 4 dragons straight, which means a lot of their poke is going to be extremely potent. That Ziggs is going to feel the full weight of an Ezreal hit. And it's going to get worse and worse. Right now, we do see the siege going down here. Blast Cone is up and available, and they are going to turn around the side, looking for the tower dive with a quick pillar, but is it really going to be enough? Good tether on the back end, but it's not enough to get actually any kills. Slow roll in as it's a quick touch, and they will quickly back away. Good siege, though, as you get about half the tower.
Yeah, I mean, for DeathMark, Wasabi on the Ziggs, a one-man army, you could say, really holding back the entirety of Team 6 Gaming with the wave clear. Only one with a lot of it relevant as J-Bear going for a bit of a walk. This is actually, it might seem like it's innocuous and they're just walking across the map, but they're buying so much time off of the Baron buff.
Oh, easily, yeah. Bear will go down here. Bear has actually been split pushing, I want to say, the entirety of this game. Now 1, 2, and 1. I think that's where a majority share of DME's gold is actually sitting at. You can see it's actually fairly close, only 2K difference, but that was only recently. I believe actually when we were watching a little earlier at about 10 minutes in, DeathMark Esports are actually up, and it's because York is so proficient at the split push, at consistently getting these plates. But it's gotten much worse because Zacian is on the top side, powering down with this Ornn is going to be a menace in their own right, and I think it's only going to get harder for them at the end of the day. Quick chunk though, as Spy said, I don't want to be here. The poor Pike is going to go low top side. Zacian slow roll out, says I don't think Crypsis is going to have any chance to fight that one.
It's a good thing to point out that the gold lead is not that vast, but it's also important to see how much standing gold is available. So many outer turrets still up with the new crystalline feature. Take them down in one auto pretty much. These side lanes, as the inner bot lane turret goes down, we're going to start to see things get even more out of hand. Baron buff, though, has now completely wore off. It's much easier to push back into them, but 10 seconds onto the Elder Dragon, and this face check is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, but for Zacian, recognizing that no one else is really around to help on out, you do have to scatter a wee bit. I'm also a little bit sad because right now we don't have the items up, so we can't tell exactly who has what, but we know the strength is there. Up goes J-Bear, down goes your Doom, and that's going to be a quick punish of 1-2. Looking at the third, if they can find a subjugation down on Crypsis. They're trying to run away, but you're getting bopped on the back of the head with a mallet, and it's more than enough. Spy running for their life as well. They're very mobile, but they won't have any real damage on the back end, and it is just a brutal chase of DeathMark. They might as well have Zed in this game, as no one on the side of Red Squad will be able to survive if they are chased. Spy running for their life as well, and Mr. Fluffy takes one last chomp. Enough time and enough weight to look at the Elder.
Would have been nice to see the items, but I don't think any would have mattered when you hit a 5-man Ornhorn like that. just complete domination from Team 6 Gaming. That's why this squad has only lost 3 games all year long. Arya chasing down Wasabi. They were the last standing member, just trying to wave clear in the mid lane. Will get out for now, lest the Krugs betray them.
I love the little waddle way. I'm a Ziggs homie all the way through, but my god, that was close. That's the Elder, though, and all of a sudden, ain't nobody going to be running away from that burn. 10% is what will be left, and then you're deleted. Team 6 Gaming looking to round up their entire posse of strength, maybe look at a Baron in about a minute, and just power through with the buffs.
I appreciate them extending this game for us a little bit. You could argue that after that last fight, they could have maybe gotten some energy from that fight and gone to try and push the base for an end, but they retreat, they grab the Elder. Now they will group up, push down the mid lane. Spy continuing to look for an angle, but with this Elder Dragon, it's just so difficult to find anything.
Yeah, it's a problem. Poor Crips, second or third time they've had this happen. It's a rough spot to be, and down they go once more. And again, for the side of Mr. Fluffy, you enjoy this. You love watching a tanky jungler get decimated in their own way. It is a problem state to be in as Spy. I don't know what you're doing here, man. Death from below ain't gonna do anything when you're only level 10 because they're at Baron.
Yeah, this is the, I believe they call this the Sven flank. He's waiting. He's gonna be there when the time is right. He will be in position. It's just, will that time ever come? J-Bear trying to split push, but as soon as you see the Elder Dragon Ornn on the side lane, that is your cue to run away. This guy can kill you without all of these buffs. With Infernal Dragon Soul plus Elder, that is a no-go anywhere on the map. And considering the fact that we do now see quite a substantial gold lead, you have to take into account you've also got all of the ornaments on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough as now you look for even more level 19ization, headbutt of the horn, and you look for a little extra damage. It's not going to be the kill, but it's enough to ward everyone off. We're looking at a 4-1 split, as I'm sure Team 6 Gaming have a massive inventory of items, and it's going to be a problem to deal with. Full lane pressure, top side, no one cares. It's going to be the bot and mid that are being sieged.
Half health taken from that true shot barrage. Mr. Fluffy, he's just jumping into the base. They say, damn, your turrets, your structures, win.
I love that shockwave, baby. Even DeathMark can't stand that one. And it's destruction and a half as Team 6 Gaming are looking like the Punishers as they came in as the first seed. They said, hey, you might have been able to reverse sweep in the quarterfinals, but right now you ain't gonna have that flavor. Tough times ahead. Beauty of a fight in Team 6 Gaming. A one-sided beatdown for game number 1.
And just not even letting them die in peace, tearing them apart in the fountain, dancing on the steps. Team 6 Gaming, utter domination from bell to bell, and trying to find some positives in what gameplay we did see. They're getting close to their comfort spot. You know, down 0-2, we're almost there. They could start this comeback, but I do think this can kind of be a blessing for some of these teams that have very comfort styles. You get some of these champs out that are like maybe just not that good, and now they're gone. So now we can move on to like the rest of the good champs.
I mean, we say that, and yet we saw the Pike be pulled out as a trump card earlier, and it didn't work. So it's like, is comfort really good? Who knows? But I do agree with the Fearless format. You have the ability to say, hey, we can toss a game. If we give them 5 power picks, that means 5 power picks are gone for the future. Will it happen, though, is a whole different question. Now, I understand that you might be bored of the loading screen for right now, but we are going to go once more to a short break. But before we do, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, of course, at the end of the day. So go ahead, take a listen to them while we wait for game 2 to get started up.
全マーケットは迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。あ、ボクセット？大丈夫？でもちょ 直接来てくれたの？こ
これ
れって
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう全マーケット。
Here we go one more time, or at least one more time after game number 1. We have so far seen a full draft, and we've seen 5 minutes of a game. Hopefully we see a second draft and an entirety of a game. That is the hope here, because Aegis of Vanguard is continuing to be a stepping stone for a lot of these players as we look towards the second game. TSG back on the Blues side after they took a commanding game 1. And now we're going to see a lot of the shifts of the bans here. The Azir and the Xin Zhao banned away very early on, which were originally banned by DMEV.
Yeah, I think when we get this first game out of the way, it's like we said before we went to break, a lot of comfort out of the way, but a lot of meta also gone. If I'm DMEV, I think I want to target the strongest pillar from top Team 6 Gaming. Go after Zacian. He's going to default to the Shen. If he doesn't get Ornn, he gets Shen. He's played it in so many game 2s. Let's push them off of comfort, because we saw positives from J-Bear in the last game, being able to split push, applying pressure, despite the rest of the team being able to match that across the map. So if we can try and force that advantage even more, I think that's a very winning strategy. But notably, we get to the end of our first ban phase and Bessa up and available. I wonder who's going to grab it.
It's not just Mbessa, it's also the Malphite, it's also these higher priorities and the J4 as well. So TSG saying, look, we know top lane is open, we know a lot of champions are open, we also know the Mbessa is open, but we prize above all else very comfortable engage. This is the easiest engage that you could possibly have. Flag and drag in, you're good to go. And actually, we've gotten word now, it's actually DMEV on the blue side. So this actually makes a lot more sense now that we see the Azir and the Xin Zhao and Jace banned away. So Azir headed straight against Jamie, and the Xin Zhao also sent against Mr. Fluffy. TSG, though, going for more of the meta ban outs this time, or the meta pickups, I should say, with the Rise, which is another high priority that we didn't really talk about.
Yeah, Jamie has been playing it so much in solo queue compared to their other picks. I think once people started realizing, no, this actualizer item is very strong, and when you play it right and get to that point, you will explode people. It is so worth it. I love the Yunara pick. When the J4 got locked in first, I thought, well, this makes perfect sense. Corki's banned, Ezreal Fearless banned. What's the last champ that can dash and is still very high prio? It is Yunara. This champion has been able to evade the few nerfs that they laid onto them. And now coming through, TSG have exactly what they rely on every game. They have their core damage and their mid and AD carry.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable setup. And not only that, for DMEV, you're saying, okay, we picked the J4 to be a little bit more controlling. We lost a little bit of that control. Let's bring it back into our own way. The Talia being drafted here does give a way to stop the Yunara from jumping around. So all of a sudden, Arya, who played a fantastic Ezreal, by the way, very, very well done back in game number 1, a lot more grounded in this essence. DMEV really sticking by that. We are going to chain you down, we are going to get the kills, but there's that Malphite that you and I were talking about. It's usually a jungle Malphite at this time, even though that sounds a little bit silly, but that is a huge engage tool for TSG today.
It is, and has such great synergy with itemization. We've seen players like Dardoch and ACL just go straight support items, going like Knight's Vow, Locket. This is before Vandal Pipes, but you can throw that in because the Q will apply it so easily. Yep, I mean, you can get these items that are costing you like 2,400 a piece. You'll be so far ahead of Jarvan and still quite tanky. They do have to ban the Silas. That is the tax you pay when you select to Malphite yourself. But I think when you look at the composition they have, you now not only have engage potential, but also peel, because you could just turn around and use that ulti on top of one of your own carries to save their life. I love this Nautilus ban as well. Really takes away the last opportunity, and I'm surprised by the Braum pick. I'd be thinking that's something they'd want to grab themselves, but for now, going to be TSG's pick.
Yeah, I wonder if we're actually going to see the likes of the Rel come out here. I mean, you can get a little bit silly, but no, it's the amp up instead. The Lulu that was actually banned out in game number 1 is now drafted here for the Yunara. TSG building up a very steady front to back composition here, which I really like. Now, I do want to point out for TSG, when I was watching the game prior, obviously we weren't able to showcase the earlier status, it was actually TSG that were behind in the gold funneling. Now, whether that came directly from the top lane with the Yorick push is yet to be seen, but they were behind. So for TSG, I do want to see if their bot lane will be able to maintain a consistent pace of gold gathering, or if there's going to be other issues. There's a Scion being drafted, a big beefy boy in the top side.
Yeah, and it goes right along what Zacian likes to do. The facilitator, the strong, weak side, someone you can rely on to just leave on an island and focus on getting the rest of your team ahead. They will always pull through in the mid game. It's Elise support. All right. I mean, Spy is a psycho. We saw the Pike prio. It's the second highest played in solo queue. Now the Elise. I was hoping that they would stick with double ranged bot because you're going into Lulu. Unless you're going to go Blitzcrank, there just really isn't an option there that's going to help you in that lane. They're going to have to play super, super aggro, and Shen will be the answer for the top side of Team 6 Gaming. Another Zacian masterpiece.
Yep. I also like it here because you have very obvious carries that need to stay alive with the amount of CC coming in. I'd also expect a very quick Mikhails from Pro Jackie to keep Arya alive. These are all things that we're going to watch. It's a lot of emphasis on Jamie and Arya to be able to play this well. For DeathMark Esport, though, I like the flexibility that their comp actually brings. Now, the Elise is a little bit out there, but the other four are fairly meta standard, something that we didn't see in game number 1. So I actually think DeathMark Esport have a better chance this time around than they did in game number 1. Would you agree with that, though, considering what we see Team 6 Gaming draft here?
I do, absolutely. I think because they're going into very squishy bottom lane champs, there is the potential to get early kills, especially once that W is available for Varus. You can pop that Blight with a piercing arrow and take someone down. But also, considering that Wasabi also had a great game on the Ziggs, and Elise and Talia are two champs that synergize extremely well, but don't often get the opportunity to share the rift on the same side. So having them both down, the cocoon into the shifting stone, is going to be very useful at starting off these fights. They have good poke. It's just about, can they find that composure to stay patient, to wait on vision, and then go in when the time is right, because TSG has all of the tools to execute their own game plan.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever see the Talia and the Varus standing on the same side of a battlefield, I'm terrified for what's about to happen next. Either way, we are going to go to a short break. Make sure that the game actually loads this time, because good lord, we want to actually give you a show from start to finish. And when we come back, it will look for TSG and DMEV for the second game of the series. Don't go anywhere. minute into the game. Let's go! We got a game on our hands. We have DMEV on that blue side of the map with TSG on the red for game number 2. For a quick reminder, we had the Team 6 Gaming going ahead and taking game number 1. Now they're looking for game number 2. Reynar's, though, in a weird spot with the rest of the team as Arya recognizes that, hey, this is a bad spot. Quick Captain Jack cleanse. And a heal out means you're safe. Spicy start to this game.
That was unbelievably arrogant is the word I would use there. They see all 4 members cross them, and instead of just waiting in the bush or backing off, Projecki just face checks into the Varus. They do use the cleanse very quickly, Arya that is, to stay out of burst range, but still they will be 2 sums down now as they get pushed in by this double range composition. I'm glad that Varus is what DMEV went to, because I think it is just what is best available into Yunara once that Corki is down. You still have to make it work though, and with it being the lethality Varus on this side, you're going to have to constantly be wary of the Malphite and Shen just running you down.
Yeah, it's a dangerous spot to be in as we do wait and see exactly who goes where. Quick clears coming out as DMEV. They went on a warding expedition, but for TSG, they did the exact same thing, which is interesting. Take a look at the map state. Invade versus invade is actually what happens. So Malphite now going over to their own red side of the jungle. I wonder if that's going to be the play as well. DMEV, though, saying, okay, let's go ahead and get a comfortable spot as we're going to dive this tower. Remember, there is no cleanse, and it's an easy kill, number 1. Well done, first blood. DMEV, Projecki looking for yet another. Can you get the last auto down? Pix will take it away, and that's what you like to see. Projecki now running straight back to the tower, giving themselves safe. So first blood, DMEV, but a kill right back to keep it somewhat close.
Once that shield expires onto Jarvan, like you said, Pix does the rest. They trade it 1 for 1, and just has to do with the way they disengaged after the initial kill. The repel from Elise managed to drop aggro, but they were still too close, still autoing to try and get that second kill. A little greedy, and that is what results in them being traded over. Is now in the mid lane.
Yep, little quick catch, and it's a quick punch to the back end. Wasabi swinging down onto Jamie's head. And so far, Cryptus getting a lot of advantages here for the rest of the team.
It is somewhat reminiscent of last game, although we didn't see it. It was an extremely active early game with kills going both ways. And interesting to point out here, the Lulu coming towards the mid lane. This is something we've seen in this season, despite all of the talk of now no one can leave lane, there's no more roaming because of quests. Support's still looking for timers to help the rest of the map, and frankly not losing much for it because of the way their quests operate uniquely. As you can see, you draft Elise bottom lane, you have to be constant with your aggression.
Yep, it's going to be relentless overall, but what we do see is Mr. Fluffy getting a chance to fight back as well. Early invade punishing the side of Cryptus, who I believe actually got forced out of the lane. You take a look, it's actually 6 camps down. Look at that, that is brutal to see. So well done to Mr. Fluffy, who is looking to try and hit that level 6 ASAP, join in and fight the rest of the team's bot side. Though I mean, Reynar's is getting a massive win in their own right, nearly 20 CS up. Is looking like a brutal show here, and I wonder if it's going to continue that way.
The other thing Mr. Fluffy doing, something I feel like I mention every time there's a jungler with AP scaling, after their first quadrant clear, as I'll hold on for a moment as Ryze uses that phase rush, runs out of there, is a safe distance, and you know, now you've got to be worried if you're a Cryptus. You're hemorrhaging camps. He's got nothing on the map except for Krugs. He's not going to cross all the way down there, so he doesn't even really know what to do. He's starting a reset, then he's walking all around, and meanwhile, you've got Kindle Gem plus the Dark Seal that Malphite went and got after clearing 1 quadrant, so now they have some actual damage on their abilities. The gap is gaining.
Ooh, what a catch as well. The Weaver's Wall sections off Projecki, flash out by Arya to ensure it's only a support. So it is going to be a dance of death as DMEV continues to pick on the bottom side of the mat. Zacian waiting for J-Bear. J-Bear flashes over the wall to stay a little bit more safe. But again, big wins across the board. DMEV controlling this bot side of the map.
And the proxying has only gotten more damaging in this new season. If you go to proxy your enemy's lane, you will continue to get your enhanced quest completionist. Flash forward.
Oh, good catch by Mr. Fluffy. Said no dice for you. Jamie now hunting with the Realm Warp Spy, looking to try and stay safe. That's another spell real and a quick drop down. Jamie forces Spy away. Still though, Mr. Fluffy forcibly dragging TSG back into this game.
Grabs themselves a chem tank dragon, able to get a kill as well. Very heads up play to move down there despite being outnumbered for the moment. Very wise from their mid laner as well to just come down, not focus on the initial fight on the dragon pit, try and cut off the other laners to complete that dragon, make sure there is no contest. And as we look across the map, you're seeing the gold still 1k favor for DMEV. A lot of that has to do with the bottom and mid lane kills that have come through, that extra 900-ish gold for the blue side. But I'm sure if we had a HUD for quest completions, it would be showing a very different story across the rift. I'm sure Sion is doing extremely well. Like I said, proxying, you get the enhanced quest completion, but the other laner loses it as soon as they walk behind their own turret. So it can't really stop you from proxying. As now we're seeing Fluffy just show up for J-Bear, push him off a little bit, try and buy Zacian a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, you give yourself a little bit of space and happily kind of walk back. And again, for Zacian, you are starting to accrue a tiny bit of a CS lead. You're still waiting for that last big item. I think Sunfire is what you're going for. So it takes a little bit more time before you can actually be a menace in that sort. We are watching mostly this bottom side. I think my eyes are really drawn here because Reynars and Spy have been gifted a really clean start to the game. The Yunara constantly having to use that refillable pot and already quite a bit of item disadvantage here. So if Reynars is able to go for this kind of poke build, this lethality build, we can see a drastically different game show up here for the squad. We can see DMEV maybe look to take this game number 2. A little bit of a dash in, Zacian, a little bit of a chunk, but not much more to be played for on the back end. It's a quick punch as another follow through, and Jamie is barely able to survive.
You've got to keep your focus sharp in games like this, coming off of a very dominant performance in game 1. You see Jameeb and Arya on their respective lanes, starting to get pushed back, and now the corrupting chains come through.
Oh, not a chance at all. Raynar is shutting that down right quick. And it's once again a problem as Arya goes down, I want to say, for a second time. Drastically painful spot to be in. And Raynar's and Spy going to get all the gold.
Yeah, because it's not just the kill, it's all of the waves that are then missed. It's the turret plates that come through. Once those void grubs are completed, that means that they can keep pushing in waves. Spy's not even going to repel, and Spider Form just going to walk away, take a couple shots for their troubles. You do see some item completions coming through. Malphite has the Zeeks nearly double the CS of Jarvan. Halfway completed comparatively towards their quest. Only 8 camps to go. 16 for Crypsis. It's going to be a long time until those smites are equalized, until these objectives start to get even, and really drastic difference between these last 2 games. Serpent Fang, first item for Varus. Understanding that Stand United would be one of the only things that can stop them from continuously winning and pushing in this bottom lane, itemizing for it early.
Yep, smart way to play as we look towards a little bit closer towards the next dragon. Up in about a minute, it's a Cloud Drake, not the most entertaining in the world, but it's another one to steal away, right, for Mr. Fluffy, who is more than ready to play. But you don't have that 1400 smite. Crypsis is very far away as well, so we battle over, I think, the 1000 HP smite. We'll see which one takes cover. However, for Mr. Fluffy, you are looking to push this bot lane back into your favor. You're gonna already see Mr. Fluffy hanging around that bot side, waiting for a chance to get some revenge, even a float from the mid laners. So an excess of, I want to say, manipulation, I want to say, of resources being put in the bot side. Even Zacian might be around to play. However, a question mark coming in. Realm Warp being used. Flash forward, misses the unstoppable force, and it's a problem to be had as it's a huge turnaround for the side of Reynars as you just punch straight through Damian Projecki. And it's TSG on the very sharp end of the losing streak.
Masabi able to get that seismic shove in the end, and without the unstoppable force, Malphite really isn't that threatening. All of this just to make sure that Varus can get that first turret in their pocket. 4-0 and 1, 109 CS compared to 62. And as we see here, it's a good attempt from TSG, but just doesn't get the range on that ultimate. Immediately hit with the Chain of Corruption. That results in 2 kills instantly, and Zabi being down there already means they don't have to waste the ult to get down. They can move up towards that inner turret secure. First turret for Varus. Now Manamune in inventory, continuing to stack up. Only real pillar still going for them is that we are tied in our dragons. They secured the cloud, that DeathMark Esports. Now they're trying to move out onto the map. Going to see some quest completions within the next couple of minutes here.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, it's a very small consolation prize, right? For Team 6 Gaming. You're like, okay, we got Dragon. It's Infernal time. We know what we did with an Infernal last time. It was able to kind of buffer out and help in this stage, but at this point it feels like TSG, they are just kind of waiting for that mid to late game where they're actively able to play the game. But you take a look and they're already getting flatlined as they get chased out of the riverside. Spy able to pick it up thanks to some great chunking from Reynars, who already 2 items deep with the Serpent's Fang to break through the shielding. This is a scary Varus.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure what Projecki is doing there. They don't see the control ward in the river brush, obviously. They do have some vision deep in the enemy lane, but you see Varus on the minions in the mid lane. That is just a terrible contest. You're never going to find yourself in a position where you can push them out, whether they're alone or not. I'm assuming that they figured they're not going to use their ulti. I can just walk up. Worst thing that happens is I eat a piercing arrow to the face, but very smart by Reynars to commit as much as they did. This is a early game composition. They need to focus on pushing this advantage and snowballing, not just resting on their laurels and expecting this early lead to translate into a victory.
Yeah, we are hoping for, you know, a little bit more punch as well for DMEV, a squad that is already upset in the quarterfinals, is looking to do the exact same here if they're given a spot at the table, a much larger lead for themselves. And I like that we are seeing this drift out from Crypsis. Crypsis so far, you're looking at 4.3. It's a time and a half as they are building up their lead, but in terms of the smite battle, it's going to be a whole different story because you do really have to watch for Mr. Fluffy. Zacian running for their life, but still gets caught up by the cocoon, and there ain't nowhere you can go. Multi-CC layering brings you to a close, and it's yet again DMEV taking a kill and taking more plates.
I mean, you have to be extremely proactive when you draft this way, and they're doing exactly that. I mean, you think back to all the games you've seen with compositions like this, and those games don't go this way, as Reaver's Wall will try to cut off some of the members of TSG from this mid lane turret, but looks like their job just to try and regroup. They want to push this down. They don't have a turret themselves, but they're losing their top lane. This Varus has gotten so much gold injected into their bank account. I know what Fluffy's thinking. I'll just go up there and I'll take him down. I'm Malphite. I won't have a problem. But you've got nothing but a Zeke's in your pocket. That Varus will tear you to shreds. He's got 3.5k more gold than you've got. And as we take a look across the rift, sure, that jungle advantage is still mighty. But other than that, it's almost a 5k gold difference in the 80 carry role. Yunara is quite the champ, but in this position, I'm not exactly sure what she's going to be able to do.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to even come back into this. And Arya, who had a stellar Ezreal game on this Yunara, has fallen kind of flat. Now, is that their fault? Yeah, I kind of say so. But DMEV have been very active on the map, willing to take fights, willing to take trades, and willing to get a lot more aggressive. Because of that, they've yielded their own Herald. They also have 3 grubs, so whenever this Herald hits, it is going to shred through the tower very, very quickly. It is going to be nigh unstoppable. So wherever DMEV decide to go, they will punch through. At the current moment, though, they're probably looking at the bot side. Dragon up in about 35 seconds, or DMEV. They're spending a lot of their gold, looking for a little bit more freedom on the map. But to get this dragon, it's a lot of extra damage.
A lot of extra damage and also a lot of extra gold generation for Yunara right now. Quest was just completed. They completed their quest before they had actually finished their first item. Rise in the mid lane still has yet to complete their quest. You can see by the unupgraded boots in inventory. A lot of roaming early did net them some pressure on the map, but it did not net them a lot of quest progression. Getting hovered here by Mr. Fluffy. There's no objective to gain up here though, and when you're hemorrhaging this heavily, you have to stem the bleeding. You have to cross map somehow. And I mean, they're just giving up objective after objective, permanent stat after permanent stat. They need to pull the trigger. They need to find an opening, and if they don't do it soon, they may not have the opportunity.
It all starts with Mr. Fluffy. Remember last time with the Unstoppable Force, it was a tough one to watch. Maybe they can do a little bit more. You leapfrog straight into a battle, though, and they're looking to try to turn it around. Spy is actually caught out. That's cat number 1. Are they going to get more? That's going to be Reynard's looking for a chance, but Jaeger teleports in the middle of a massive team fight. However, really a smart decision. The rest after TSG gets 1 say they don't want more. If they decide to go more, they could be in a lot of trouble. So they back away, they take their kill, and that's about all they get.
Yep, that's a shutdown. Unfortunately, gold goes into Malphite's pocket, buys the Bandle pipes, so we like to see that good item come through. But once Scion arrives, you cannot continue that fight. The front line is too strong, and as you mentioned, the Rift Herald doing so much. Crippus probably did not want to be there.
Oh no, this is turning into a difficult spot. It's not the end of the world, but it's still a kill they like. However, round warp straight to the middle is going to first a flash out of Wasabi, but guess who's there? Jamie with the quick spell reel. Once again, the Rise is back, and he says, I want you to go into my pocket as I get more gold. Quick unstoppable onslaught rushes them out of the way. But massive kills back. Mr. Fluffy picked up a few. That's some gold that TSG desperately needed.
And such incredible commitment from TSG. Whenever you see a play like that made, a misplay like we saw from Crypsis, almost assuredly did not want to hit the wall and bounce backwards. You have to see the other team take advantage. Otherwise, it's just a silly little moment on the broadcast. And that TSG didn't just secure that kill. They recognize that with the numbers advantage, with the Jarvan not available and the rest of DeathMark Esports running for the hills, they could continue the fight with the Realm Warp push forward. And now, finally some gold going into other members' pockets. Malphite did pick up another one, but Rise crucially grabbed that last kill in that fight. Some more damage coming through there. 1.5 items for Yunara. That's really where the struggle is still being felt the most. We need to see some itemization coming through there. Otherwise, whenever Scion's in the fight, whenever Jarvan's in the fight, it's going to be so difficult for Arya to be present.
Maybe it's time to just keep farming, just wait 2 more minutes as Jamie will look to kind of crest that gap. Has gone double mana items here. Hasn't gone for the actualizer. I don't know if you're going to shift into that third, it could be a possibility, but you went with the Rod of Aegis plus the Saracen Embrace. Really nice cap out with the mana once again. And are you going to get the chase here? Wasabi looking to try and shred out. Good shove out. But he's still eating a lot of extra damage. No shard to come out in the mid lane either, but a Cocoon will land a spy. Looking to hold everyone off here. This is starting to get a little bit dangerous on all degrees. Cryptus looking nice, stash out. Wild Growth uses Arya is safe. However, now they got to turn around. Quick catch onto very, very poor Cryptus, who I personally think did everything right, just about as much as he can. Zacia's now having flash away. Wasabi joining in the mid lane after that Weaver's Wall, but a quick chase in further. Arya running for your life, split from the rest of the team, and Javer is able to punish right back. DMEV gets some revenge for the jungler.
It was an incredible collapse made by both teams. TSG rallying around their AD carry once engaged on, kept alive with the Wild Growth, and stand united. They get the return kill, but then just seems like a little bit of miscommunication on the leave. Jaybear is able to pick up the last member and now just flash away from the Realm Warp. I mean, it is pretty good. That flash won't be up for quite some time, and especially not for the dragon that we're going to see in 35 seconds. But still, I feel like their options, they've taken better advantage of them, actually done some selection, but the Varus has yet to be touched. 5-0-2, has that Edge of Night. They need to pop it, and with no real range on this squad, that is going to be very, very difficult to do.
I think for Varus as well, you're really happy about the itemization that you've gotten. You already held on to that space of the inventory 3 items deep, whereas the hex bolts aren't really going to be coming through either. Edge of Night is so happy to be held, and Arya still waiting for a chance to kind of bump on through. However, for Jamie, you're steadily climbing higher and higher. This would now be, I think, the 8th plate that you've been gifted yourself, which is why there is a response on the other side of the map. DMEV saying, dude, we gotta take care of Jamie. Jamie is so annoying at the end of the day, and yet it's so hard to catch. You actually got another plate off the back end, and the rest of the team is here. Quick punch on the side. You caught Wasabi. Will it be enough? Nice chain of corruption to turn it around, and it's poor Mr. Fluffy, who will be deleted. Right out here as Jaybear is looking for a knockup, catches one onto Zacian, but will it be a fight any further? Maybe not, as the shredding potential is coming through. What a disgusting amount of damage, but Zacian saying, oh crap, I forgot. They are fed to absolute hell, and on the back side, Arya overstayed their welcome. DMV clean house with 3 for the price of pretty much no one.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. You have to cross map. You can't just keep giving these objectives. Jarvan takes the dragon, and they're so desperate to make something happen to the other side of the map. They dive very prematurely. Malphite goes down during it, and they get a bit greedy, thinking they have a chance to shred down Jaybear. But it's like I've been saying, this Yunara just doesn't have any damage whatsoever. Just now completed the Fiend Hunter's Bolt, meaning that ultimate gives you some extra attack speed when procced, some extra heavy hits that do a bit bonus damage after you pop that ult, some haste, but that doesn't do anything to the Titanic Hydra Canic Rooker Warden Male Scion standing aside from you. You noted even Scion's the one, or Shen is the one dealing most of the damage in that scenario. All of the weight has to be on Ryze's shoulders, on Jamie's shoulders, to get the damage out.
I mean, I kind of like that play. You also try and force that Varus to be in a really, really rough spot. You burn both summoner spells, so Reynars isn't able to maintain their safety. So it's a good attempt coming out of Mr. Fluffy, who is always willing to take a fight. Will it be enough, though, is a big question. Jaybear looking on the wings as we get a little bit of calm before the upcoming dragon. Remember, DMEV currently sitting on Soul Point. This could be their make or break moment.
Thought for a moment there Jaybear was trying to stack up autos or something, like he's got a Yuntal's, just punching the Krug while it's regenning there. The Zacian doing their job, holding off the Scion, preventing as many turret autos as they possibly can. Rest of the members are in the mid lane. Very well done by DeathMark to push on multiple lanes. Spy finds a good cocoon.
I like it, and it's already a dive on in. No save from Pro Jackie, and the Realm Warp comes a little bit late. Weaver's Wall to slow them all down as DMEV are playing at a much faster pace this time. I love it. Are we going to see even more? Arrow over the wall pierces the backside of Arya. We got the shield extra, but I don't think it's going to be enough. J Bear knocks down the tower, and the rest of TSG have to scatter to the winds back to the safety of their base. They're going to try and hold out as much as possible, but I really don't think their base is going to hold up much longer. DMEV are on the hunt for the victory.
Continuing to push down in the mid lane.
Oh, Unstoppable Force tried, but it's a call of a dying wolf. The rock is shattered as DMEV look to push even further, and their just rewards for playing a strong early game is an inhibitor broken at 25.5 minutes.
They are going to take what they can get and leave, not wanting to overstay their welcome in the enemy base. Baron buff still has about 20 seconds left until it falls off. Maybe they're considering buffing up their minions from the base to get out one last charge, but they also could be looking at the time ticking away on the dragon spawn point for DeathMark Esports. They want to get down some vision, clear out all of this river warding, making sure they have complete information. Very good spot out here by Crypsis to make sure that when they get this objective, it's how they close out the game. You don't want it to go on for too long. You still got an Elise. Can only be useful for so much longer as Jameeb will be targeted.
Yeah, but on the back end is also another target as Mr. Fluffy is trying to do some work. Quick ult is able to drop the damage, and it creates a lot of space for Jamie and the rest of the squad. However, that Varus is strong. Reynard says, I am the ray of light for the squad with Wasabi to help with the shove. It's a triple for Reynards, and DMEV hunting for the rest of the base as Arya was hitting a very tanky Scion. Javier rushes Arya out of the base, and for DeathMark Esports Voltigeurs, it feels like an all-encompassing victory after a rough game number one. They answer back in kind, and the AVL has a series on its hands.
Now tied up 1-1. That last fight, I mean, TSG tried everything they could, found a good opening, split up the fight, split up the damage dealers, protected their backline. Even saw Shen on a sliver of HP able to get the Stand United off to provide a shield, but Yunara is just getting pushed off by the Scion 1v1. A crazy interaction to get the kill. He E'd the minion to push it, and then Titanic Hydra active autoed it to get the massive splash damage to get the Yunara down. But, I mean, Reynar's taking the reins here in game two puts themselves on a much more carry-oriented pick, able to run the game, and did it from minute one.
It scares me a lot. I mean, you mentioned before back in game number one, was it more comfort? Were you kind of sacking game number one? I don't think so, but it's a good bounce back in this game too. Both teams have now shown exceptional prowess in their individual performances. They each can do quite a bit. And for Arya, an overstep in that game number two cost them very, very early on. The cleanse plus so much more. Something that you don't want to have happen once again. So we'll see what game three has to offer as teams reset and get reoriented as 20 champions are off the battlefield. We'll see which next 10 join them in those ranks. Don't go anywhere. The AVL will continue in just a bit. Welcome back, everyone. Game number 3 underway, and I'm excited to see exactly who comes out on top. Now, remember, games 1 and 2 have both been fairly one-sided, with both sides opting into a much heavier aggression. Game 1 was a little bit slogged from behind from the side of TSG, which we caught the very last minutes of, but game number 2 was all DMEV, and it never let off the gas. TSG is now back on the blue side, which is why we see the Corki ban out, and for DMEV, after watching that Mal fight not exactly procure a result, are now looking at the other top favorites, such as the Jace.
These are some of the benefits of when you let some of the top stuff go through, when you trade it for yourself. For instance, they leave up the Rise, the Unar, the Malphite, but they got Jarvan, Talia, they got Sion, and they made it work with Comfort sprinkled in there. Now you're seeing some other comfortable stuff. They don't want to deal with it anymore, TSG. The LeBlanc gone. We don't want to know what's up next. Make them play meta. And I was going to say, that is one of the difficulties of playing a style where we're going to stick to what we like. If you're going for that over practicing meta stuff, once you're out of what you like, you've got to show up on stuff you might not have as much practice on. And that's why I like DeathMark's bans here, because like we talk about trading, if you're not playing a lot of it, you don't want to trade for Azir. This is not a champ you want to just first time in a semifinal game.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to give it over to a guy that obviously knows how to play it. We see the Darius band away, heavy targets towards individual practicality for DMEV, which TSG is probably leaning to say, okay, we want a little bit more team fight. With the unique bans out, Wukong is now left on the table, so DMEV lose that jungle presence, and it'll be a little bit slower start for them. And especially since Mr. Fluffy has continuously had a pretty consistent performance, even in that game number 2, I want to see it done even better. The Wukong, I think, brings much more agitated damage to the battlefield.
Absolutely, and gives them that same engage that they had last game, but also a bit more proactivity to fight in their own jungle. Lilia grabbed up. People have been wondering when the AP junglers were going to creep in because of Dusk and Dawn, this not necessarily being one of the champs that will benefit from it, but still very underrated jungler in my opinion. Another champ that can clear one quadrant, go get Dark Seal, come back into the jungle with bonus stats, and Misfortune being paired along with it into the Wukong. That tells me that they are pretty confident in what they have planned to keep this champion safe. It is a little bit interesting that after a game of Varus where they showed, put me on a carry, I will run the game, the idea is, let's go Misfortune for this next game.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but at the same time, I get it. Combinations lead to the Wombo combo, and I think for Reynars and Spy on the bot side, they're looking for much heavier aggression once again. And it's surprising that Projecki is opting into this Milio easily doubled up on if you're not careful of your positioning. At the same time, wanting that ability to get everyone out of the CC chain that comes with the Lilting Lullaby. I think a free McHale's for everyone on the battlefield is not a bad idea, but that's on paper. In practice, it's a whole different story. For TSG though, you are also opting into a very aggressive bottom lane. Arya grabbing that Lucian and saying, let's go ahead, pop off in the early game.
Yeah, they're a bit sick and tired of getting pushed in and focused hard with these aggressive support AD duos. Nautilus, one of the more meta aggressive supports, but still can put itself in harm's way, never as tanky as you think it's going to be. It's going to come down to how well does Projecki transition out of some of the funk they've been in these past couple games, getting stuck trying to support champions that really can't stand on their own. And that does happen when your champ pool looks like Projecki's does, second in the league in assists, but almost entirely playing these ranged supports, Alistar being the one main distinction. Does kind of bottleneck how you build in the draft. Luckily, their players are all here for it, and as we see these second ban phases come through, mid lane targets for DeathMark, I'd expect to also see Victor maybe targeted here, and on the other side, more focus going towards J-Bear.
Yeah, I like it. You go ahead and just keep trying to put the pressure down. J-Bear in game number 2 had a very strong game, able to utilize Cripsas to consistently gank just about every lane. You're able to make some magic in there. However, target focus from DMEV into that mid lane, saying, okay, look, we really got to target Jamie. Jamie, even on the rise, looked fairly okay. we still need to put them down a little bit further, right? 3 mid lane bans targeted. As you mentioned, the Victor would have rounded out the composition very nicely, taken away from DMEV's side. So now are you looking at a top lane blind or a bot lane blind? That's the question.
I think you're going to want to go mid. When we've seen this series, is J-Bear able to make stuff happen even when they're put behind. Also, when you pick something like Aurora, that is a flex. You can bring it top lane if the matchup is right. Allows you to unlock something from Wasabi that we haven't really seen yet, which is this go in burst champ, really affect the fights. The Talia wants to kind of stay at a range. Same thing with Ziggs, but now they have tools yet to be unlocked throughout this series. And for TSG, you've got to start getting in the bag here. After Fearless and this game, we've had, in this game alone, we've got 5 mid lane oriented bans, and Hui is going to be what they fall down to. Still a very good pick and fits with their composition quite nicely.
Yeah, I think it's not a terrible pickup. It's a good mid-range, but of course, if you're not playing Hui the right way, you can get burst out very, very quickly. A little seedling hits you on the back, and you're screwed. For TSG, though, good draft of that Gnar at the very end, bringing a little bit more CCM follow-up behind the Wukong. This can become a very dangerous wombo combo as a 2-piece, which is nice. Comparatively to DMEV, the Nautilus and the Lilia will be the main engage and starters of a team fight. Last pick here for the top lane. I'm curious what you're going to grab going down that list. For J-Bear, you can play anything that you want to. What will it be though, and how will you counter the Gnar? It is that Investa that you were calling for earlier, Jack. It is here.
I was so caught in my head. I'm saying like, oh, Camille is probably going to be what J-Bear defaults to, and then I look at it like, oh my god, how did Mbessa fall all the way through this draft? One of the big reasons it has been so high prio is because of the flex possibility. So that is one reason when you first pick Lilia, it doesn't have as high prio, but this champion is considered to be one of the strongest top laners in the game right now. Zacian loves the Gnar, 3rd highest played here in AVL. One of my favorite champs, and I'm happy to see it back in a game. This is an interesting comp for both teams because you have their core identity still intact. Team 6 Gaming has a good 5v5 that can win at all stages of the game if executed right. But for DeathMark, they still have that aggression. You have this jungle who can be anywhere on the map at any time, the constant scaling move speed, burst in the mid lane and top lanes, and then aggressive support that can facilitate kills for their AD carry to start snowballing. The most meta matchups we've seen so far. Very excited to see how this game 3 transpires.
If it works, it works. Honestly, one team is going to take a little bit of a step closer towards that championship next week and a larger chance at that prize at the end of the day. And I'm excited to see who gets it. So let's go to a short break and make sure we can get into the game. We want to make sure we give you as clear a picture as we can throughout the entirety of the series. So don't go anywhere. The AVL will be right back in just a bit. Game is go as we are headed to game number 3. One team will step one more game closer to those grand finals, and another team will have to scrap at the bottom if they want a chance in. We're still looking at DMEV on that red side of the map. TSG opting for blue this time around. So far, blue side, 100% win rate so far. So maybe TSG will take another step forward.
Almost like blue side is better in almost all cases and should be what's selected always. Huh. I wonder what this is about that. Anyway,
Man, I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, this is new tech, I guess. But I am happy to see both teams having agency in the early game through this draft. No one's really saying, hey, can we just farm safely for a couple of minutes and get to our break points? We want to be aggressive. We want to be fighting. Oof, unlucky bounce on the double tap there for Reynars. And I know I said in the draft that they are now on something with a little bit less priority in itself, but Reynar's champ pool is very caster heavy. It's a lot of these AD carries like the Corkis, the Ferris, the Misfortune, champions that synergize extremely well with their ability kits, and you're seeing exactly how well they're synergizing when they hit that level 2 spike.
Oh, I love it. But of course, Arya and Projecki turned it around as I think Projecki actually stepped up with the support item clear, got a minion, quickly turned it to level 2, so at least you're able to trade some HP back. Now, is it going to be enough? Probably not. Reynar's obviously keeping their head much further above. And Spy looking for yet another hook. Oh, what a bait on that. I love the fact that you're hoping to burn a little bit more mana. Use that last ward hit to make Arya a bit scared.
Yeah, and it's showing development throughout the course of the series. Spy showcasing that depending on the champion, they are not going to be as aggressive. They know when to temper it. They know when to pull back. And even what they're doing right now, lands the hook on that, won't get a ton of damage thanks to that cozy campfire, but it shows that they understand how much pressure they can apply in this lane by simply going out of vision and threatening that anything can come out of this brush at any moment, so you have to play scared. That's going to make you miss CS. You're going to make your movements more erratic, which means you're not focusing on the map, makes you more prone to being ganked. It cascades into so many other effects, and meanwhile, in the jungle, we have a bit of our first face-off between the two here.
Oh, but a little bit of a catch on the side of Wasabi is going to be dodging out on a lot of skill shots and turns around on Mr. Fluffy, who is trying to chase on in, but can't get much closer. Another seedling lands, and it's Fluffy going down first blood to Wasabi.
I mean, someone's got to call PETA. We've got a rabbit, a deer, and a monkey facing off in the river. The forest animals teaming up to take down the King Wukong.
Whole zodiac signs out there.
Exactly. And it does turn out that the magic damage dealers do it best. Also, getting that crab, or excuse me, Fluffy getting that crab is about the only consolation you can find there. Aurora getting the kill. Pretty devastating. Oh, and now Mbessa quelling the creatures themselves.
Yep, dance into the enemy side jungle. Mr. Fluffy, who again was a main reason why game number 2 was going in a somewhat closer direction, is directly getting forced out of this counter jungle style, of this ability to hunt in enemy territory. Instead, it's putting a lot of emphasis on the laners themselves. Jamie, Arya, and Zacian need to have really good starts if they want to help Mr. Fluffy get rolling by prepping the lanes and looking for kills.
But I love the confidence shown from Crypsis right now. They force the Wukong to back with the help of Mbessa, and then they just walk all the way through the mid lane, push it up to turret, and they go, I'm taking your raptors. I know that you see me, but there's nothing that you can do about it. Wukong does respond in kind with the teleport back from Hui, but all's well that ends well. They both ended up getting raptor camps. Wukong luckily has a Gromp to retreat to. Lilia is looking for an excuse to open up onto that bot side of the map. Does have some money in the pocket after purchasing that burn item. We'll be able to go through towards that dragon. And Hui, based, TP'd back to help Wukong cover the Raptor invade. Now having to back again for the lost chapter. Just throwing off the tempo of the whole map, all because Crypsis playing with so much confidence.
Yeah, we love it. This Lilia has really given them another breath of fresh air. Crypsis was also punished in game number 2 a little bit at the start before getting massive leads on that J4. I like what we're seeing here, and I want to see it continue onwards. I want to see them keep pace, look for those seedlings, look for those lilting lullabies, be the annoyances that we know they can be. Of course, at the current moment, laning phase still evening things out. Nobody is head and shoulders above the other, except for Reynar's, who is about a wave and a half up, which should equalize out. Zacian for their own, waiting for a chance to fight back. Level 6 versus level 6, but you don't want to dive a mega Nard Gnar. I don't think that's a good idea, so everyone goes back to safety.
Yeah, just a little bit of a showdown there. Goes Mega, and Bessa realizes, I'm just going to clear this wave for now, while we wait for all of our quests to continue progressing, our items to be built. You don't want to push it too far. You understand the tools you have at your disposal. And I will say, J-Bear doing a lot here, understanding that with the ward they have in the Pixel Brush, that's just about as much coverage as they need. And I mention that because they leapt forward with that W, the Repudiation, which is their most defensive-oriented skill. If Gnar had backup coming, not having that ability would have been dreadful. Is Jamie caught out a little bit. Is going to go to sleep.
Very nice ult though to turn it around as Crypsis is in a rough spot. Good flash of safety. Severing Bolt will land, but only drops him down to about 200 HP. And at that point, you are long gone. Still very dangerous though, as DMEV are recognizing that, hey, they also have some damage. Dragon's still up as we're 7.5 minutes in, meaning it's anyone's fair game. As granted, I don't think anyone really wants this Mountain Soul. Jamie also leading a lot of damage, but Wasabi was actually out of mana, couldn't follow up with more damage.
That was really just a tempo play. You don't see it out of enough players, but the best players will pull it off. You understand, my jungler just got forced back. The enemy bottom lane is at their turret, so they could just let their plates go down and try and contest this dragon. But that's impossible if I chunk out the enemy mid laner and force them to go back to base. So my cooldowns are worth it to be expended for us to start this dragon stacking. That's exactly what's going to happen. Way backs to base has to open towards mid lane because the minions are at their turret. Lilia has been able to re-enter onto the map, come down to the dragon pit, and that is first dragon. Like you said, just the Mountain Soul, so a little bit more armor and MR percentage-wise across the team without any real heavy builders of those stats. Not the best thing in the world. And Cloud Drake being up next, another one. Just a little bit of extra movement speed, a little bit of a luxury, but I guess for champs like Lilia, you're going to be very happy about grabbing this one.
Yeah, get a little extra stats, be able to stay alive a little bit longer, maybe dodge more severing bolts. Who knows, it might be a benefit there. Jaber dancing around Zacian, and Zacian eating a lot of damage there. We are getting a little bit of a rotate. Spy might be looking for a chance at a lane gank if given the right opportunity, but heavy warning out by Zacian. We'll spot this out very early on. Go ahead and see it's a double swing, so no chance Zacian is getting caught. And I have to give credit for TSG's sake. They aren't being as aggressive as before. They're recognizing that DMEV are going to almost stat check and hands check them in enemy territory if they get out of line. So they're playing a little bit smarter, playing a little bit softer, and making sure that even if they aren't getting major advantages, they're able to keep their HP bars and their CS within relative levels.
And they are quite close to a couple massive breaking points. Lucian almost done with the Essence Reaver as Mr. Fluffy looking to force Reynar's out of lane. So almost Essence Reaver, almost Triforce completed. Gnar doesn't really need items as long as they've got Rage. They're able to be productive as J-Bear now walking towards the middle lane.
Ooh, that's even closer. Easy catch, J-Bear. Execution complete on Jamie, who goes down. Second death for TSG.
The flash public execution performed so perfectly by J-Bear, roaming down. As you see, they do a great job. They see Crypsis leave the mid lane. Jameeb drops their guard, figuring, well, I just saw their jungler leave lane. Not like the top laner is going to gank me or anything. And then flash ulti right on top of your head. No way to contest when that's happening. And great roam timer. That kill does mitigate some of the lost quest progression because you're not in lane CSing. You get a lump sum when you get a takedown. So able to make up for that. Also as the ignite. So waiting on that free TP Eclipse completed. After that, it's why this champion's so highly contested. It's extremely versatile at all stages of the game.
Yep, very, very easy to play with. However, on the bot side, we're seeing a chunk out as Esport Arya has to flash out to safety. Heal comes from Projecti as well. Cooling will only tap the back of the HP bars, and TSG, once again, lost out on the bot side. Huge props to Reynar's and Spy, who have built up an incredible CS lead. Jamie, though, back in the mid lane, trying to pump out some sort of damage, but Wasabi still very safe with Crypsis in the back lines. It's a dangerous spot for TSG anywhere they go outside of the top lane.
And huge shout out to Reynar's. Last game was so active all around the map, constantly looking for kills, trying to find opportunities and picks, whereas this game completely understanding their role, not trying to go into different itemizations to make themselves more capable of what they pulled off last game. Just goes for that Axiom arc, understands my job is to hit R on CC'd targets with Lilia ult. That is all I'm here to do. That and farm in lane and hit double ups to try and poke out the Lucian. Completely indexing towards it. We do see Luden's Echo completed for Aurora, Leandri's Torment for Lilia, and no Triforce in response for Wukong. A minute until the next dragon. You're getting into this tough conversation we talked about last game where it's like, okay, we're not going to be in a good position to contest. Where do we trade? Can we cross map? Can we maybe find a pick beforehand? That's where your mindset has to be right now.
Yep, I mean, they're looking for it right now as well. Zacian almost gets 1v1 by Jaybear. Jaybear expending that Ignite just to get some more damage down, which we really like. Projecti now running away, which is a little bit of a dangerous spot. Nice floating Lullaby with the ceiling being hit. Projecti making sure the fire camp keeps everyone warm. Quick culling on the back end, but Mr. Fluffy cannot get close. So it's another catch and release. DMEV playing this one very, very cocky, but for good reason. They have all the damage in the world and almost no issues with TSG trying to catch them back.
They even had a numbers advantage, but DeathMark so strong right now. TSG just do not want to advance onto them. That whole time, Wasabi was in the mid lane, pushing it down, getting even more CS, hitting the turret, able to take it down almost to half HP. Speaking of half HP.
Oh, it's a little bit lower than before. Wasabi, though, ain't able to finish it off. Mr. Fluffy on the chase. Let's be honest, though. I don't know if it's going to be a kill at the end of the day. Quick Cyclone is around. Good flash out will leave you in the dust. Mr. Fluffy can't follow further. And everyone's kind of grasping at straws. For DMEV, though, they use that time of distraction to take a second dragon for their name. Too deep so far. So get the Ocean Soul to play for.
I'm really surprised by Mr. Fluffy there. Had flash up and available, could have continued pressing for that fight, for that kill. Aurora has a shutdown, would have turned the momentum at least a little bit in their favor, because we keep talking about where are you trading. You give up the dragon. Rift Herald has not spawned yet, but now they're looking for a dive bot.
And it's just an easy one as well. Poor Projecti can't even use flash. You are deleted from the game, and it's only going to continue. Crypsis looking on the bot side. Wukong sitting just outside of range, but it's the only kill they need. DMEV really not overstepping the bounds, not trying to dive for too much because they already know they're controlling the rest of the lane. Take a look, 3K in their bank already over TSG.
And it all stems, I know there's all the action bottom lane, but Wasabi is just so steady in this mid lane. He does not care what his team's doing. I don't know about the comms, obviously, but if they're calling, hey, we want to make a play bot, he's like, yeah, have fun with that. I'm going to stay mid lane and keep pushing this turret and get so far ahead of the enemy mid laner that by the time I hit my 2 items, there's going to be like one team fight I'm going to wipe, and then we're just going to end this game. Aurora, certainly the type of champion to facilitate that mindset. Has their quest completed, those enhanced sorcerer's shoes in their inventory. 2 Triforces are built for Team 6 Gaming. They do have Blackfire Torch on way to try and amp up some damage just by landing abilities. Looking again to dive this bottom lane turret, but now Mr. Fluffy in a much better position.
Like that low catch, the Eye has found an opponent. Good ult on the back end. Crypsis once again taking quite low, quick snipe with the severing bolt, but it only forces you away. Extra healing coming from the jungle routes. But Crypsis is gone, meaning the push from the bot side will be no longer. Rotation from Projecti into the mid lane. Multiple wards in the mid lane as well. But TSG staving off yet another dive. Of course, for Crypsis, you're looking for a bit more damage. Maybe you're looking for the kill as well. Letting Lullaby use. Quick slap on the back end. Jamie having to run away, and the burn is pretty dang good. And in comes this annoying Wasabi. And it will be a burn so good. Wasabi picking up their second.
Yeah, I know the ability is called Between Worlds, but I think I know exactly which realm Jameeb sent to. just doesn't even hit another ability, didn't even consider landing another spell, just throws down the ultimate, knows he's got plenty of range to do so. And I know I talked earlier about not being able to hear the comms, that's obviously still true, but I can assume that they're pretty top tier with how well this mid-jungle duo have coordinated throughout the course of this game. Now, TSG do secure the Rift Herald, so they have now traded, at least when it comes to these permanent objectives. They have the Rift Herald, they can use that to take down some of these standing structures. No turrets have fallen for the side of DeathMark Esports. That is where you want to start. We also do have, I know I've been talking a lot about items, but earlier when I was pointing out the Axiomark and Misfortune knowing what their job is, they do now have a collector. So they will be able to put out way more damage in a team fight, not having to just rely on the ultimate. They can put out so much thanks to that love tap passive. Just one auto on any of these members will be enough to do a ton. And now Mr. Fluffy trying to push down. They do have more members here.
Oh, but what a snipe on the back end. Mr. Fluffy using the Cyclone, knocking up Wasabi once again. Zacian able to roll on in. Meganar is available. You jump on in, slam one against the wall, and it's a turnaround of TNG. Look at that collapse. I don't like that bullet time as Radons is out in front and center. You will sacrifice one to turn it around, and TSG have bottlenecked 3 for 1 in a stunning turn of events.
That is the aggression I've been asking for. Mr. Fluffy shows in that fight why they are the highest ranked player in all of the AVL, withstanding multiple ultimates, diving all the way back, making up for that earlier play where they decided to play it safe. And this is why I love Gnar. Like I said, the items don't matter. As soon as you go Mega, your ability to change the fight is so impactful. Now Mega once again chasing down J-Bear.
Oh, and you can't get the slam last. Great save from Wasabi. Very, very comfortable one, but J-Bear probably not happy that it came so close in a 1v1 where I'm guessing you felt like you had a bit better lead in there.
Yeah, Eclipse being your only item will start to sting. Wants to go for that. Oh, well, wanting to and now achieving the Spear of Shojin. The item of every Mbessa's dreams. You're spamming your keys constantly. You can stack it immediately. You use it constantly. Jimmy but a great flank here, but just gets put to sleep.
The problem is you're just blown up where you stand. No chance to get rebuttal damage. So the way gone means Projecki might be next on the chopping block. And guess what? With all the damage going down here, DMEV have cleared a path for a dragon, which is way more impactful than just 3 kills.
And when you look at this soul, these fights, the ideal fantasy fight for DeathMark is hitting a big multi-man sleep, having that lilting lullaby be followed up by the Between Worlds by Mbessa, by the bullet time, and the entire enemy team goes down without having a chance to fight back. But that is the perfect scenario. In reality, it's going to be Crypsis using a lot of abilities, Aurora trying to find angles, same goes for Reynara, and J-Bear diving forward. I can't think of a better soul to facilitate that type of team fight than Ocean Soul, keeping them alive, regenning their health and mana so that they can continue. On the flip side, Infinity Edge completed for Lucian. They need to start showing an impact in this game. Hui trying to get towards that next item there. Impact has seemed to fall off just a little bit. Spy playing Spider-Man to try and get out of this river. Quite aggressive positioning for them. It really just comes down to trying to secure as much gold as you can in the next 2 or so minutes while no one's focusing on these objectives, and one of the best ways to do it is finally taking down some of these turrets.
It's been freestanding gold for a bit. Now you try and turn it into a fight on the other side. Between Worlds being used. Wasabi hopping between the veil. Maybe you get a bit more, but not much. TP to the back side. I don't know why you're there. Zacian kind of alone here, and I'm curious if this is actually going to work. Instead, it's the eyes on the bigger pincer right now. Spy watches as poor Crypsis goes down. You flash away the safety bullet, time to deter any further. Severing bolt not going to land. So it's only one in a tower, and the tower in response by DMEV's J-Bear will be enough to offset the losses of your jungler.
I hate to do this, I really do, but Jameeb missed Spiraling Despair on a stunned Nautilus. Not getting that kill, not having a 5v2 in the mid lane at that moment, it will result in them just securing a kill, buying themselves some time in that outer mid lane turret with the Rift Herald, but could have been so much more. You don't want to harp on that when you're in game. You want to be able to move on. But now Jameeb getting chased all the way down to the bottom of the map by J-Bear. Oh, it feels so bad, man.
Jameeb is not having a good day. That's all I'm saying. Game number 2 on the rise. Also, okay timing, but you just weren't able to hit those breakpoints. Now getting picked on because you're playing the way. J-Bear really sniffing that one out. Station trying to keep the Bessa in check, but it just ain't really going to work unless you look to fight a little bit further. I don't think anyone's in the vicinity to help out, so this chase could actually be really, really good. Javier trying to dash around. Nobody's really helping out, but a quick rocket, now a slam into the wallization. Gets a multi-stun down. Of course, Javier starting to heal up. Conquer or Electrocute is fully stacked right now. Another rocket is going to miss. Station taking quite low. The dash is enough, and Javier is on a killing spree. Welcome to the Thunderdome as Noxus rise up.
Gnar needs to learn. You have to clean up when you're playing, Gnar. He's throwing out, he stays in mini Gnar for just long enough, but look, he misses his toy. He throws out his spaceship, but he never collects it, meaning that he can't throw out another one for so long. J-Bear dipping and diving, dodges out of the way of another one, and without that extra damage, without that cooldown reduction from picking up the Q, the boulder toss, just doesn't have the output to match Mbessa. The first big slip up in this 1v1, and now a huge bullet time will take out the jungler in an instant.
Oh, and it leads up to another execution. Nasty catch by J-Bear. Things are falling apart so quickly for TSG as they're wondering what the hell just happened. DMEV rolled right through and are snapping up not only kills, but the Baron as well.
Just what a turnaround after what we kind of technically witnessed in game 1. Now seeing game 2 go much more in their favor. J-Bear flashing the wall to try and make this work.
I like it. Good turnaround. Quick snap on one. Down goes Spire. You're gonna find more. Flash forward from Zacian. Look at the chunk coming out with Wasabi saying, please let me run away. Across the veil plus flash will get you enough space. That is the smallest of consolation prizes. A support for losing 3 in a Baron. I mean, DMEV will take that all day long.
Yeah, especially being Nautilus. I mean, I feel like this champ, every time I watch them in competitive play, just dying, perma-dying, whether their team's winning or losing, they understand that using their hook, pushing people back, soaking up damage, and even being taken down is all part of the master plan, winning these games, taking these permanent objectives and buffs. This is a very good play though here. Now Jameeb even putting themselves out there as a little bit of bait with Fluffy behind them. 3 seconds until Ocean, and DeathMark didn't really take into account the tempo they would lose by backing off of that bear, but Jameeb just killed it in a second.
Remember when you were talking about the Axiom arc? You are getting so much value out of this item. It is annihilation for DMEV. The Voltigeurs sending TSG into a spiral as they're looking like Meal Team 6 at this point. No way for them to fight back. DMEV taking a chance and a half. Crypsis taken quite low, but the rest of the team here to keep their jungler alive after blazing through the mid inner tower. Team EV turned their sights towards the dragon.
Crypsis looks like they're filming the champion spotlight, like just the perfect runaround on Wukong, never able to catch them. As you see, Jameeb, unfortunate, gets hit by the hook and then just annihilated by Aurora and Misfortune. From that point on, the call is run as fast as you can, but there's just nothing you can do. So many tools to close the gap for DeathMark. They take the turret in unison, and now they get the Dragon, Soul, Ocean, one of the better ones they could possibly draft up here. They're taking all their camps, and that really is the showing of a complete team victory. Now, not all is done. Fat Lady has not sung yet, but they're playing as a team. They're playing together. No one is putting themselves above anyone else, and when you play League of Legends like that, it's very, very hard to take you down.
Yep, it's just DMEV, I don't think anyone was really expecting them to come out with this much vengeance, this much strength in their composition. Game number 2 felt great for them. Game number 1, they started off strong. If we remember taking a look, if you watch more of the DeathMark stream, in this game 3, it's just all their own. Look at this chase. Projecki can do nothing. Station's gonna try and bring some damage back. Cripsus will go into the Zanya's form. You might pay your life, but you set up the rest of the team. No, you're alive at the very end. Station's still fighting on the back end, but J-Bear is slowly healing up. That eclipse that's kept you alive. Mr. Fluffy looking to try and take that damage, but it's still Reynars who cleans up the battle. DMEV once again winning a team fight and taking 3 lives.
That's the League of Legends equivalent of that Family Guy meme with all the deers surrounding Peter saying, hey, should have taken the shot. Lilia so close to death. They do not take her down, and the rest of their squad roll up. J-Bear does end up going down, but not before drawing away 2 key members away from the rest of the fight. Reynars, I mean, I talked earlier, like you said, about the items. Now he's got an IE. He's got a Mortal Reminder. This Misfortune is fully online. Rabadon's death cap completed for Aurora. If you think that they couldn't do any more damage, can't wait to see what happens next time someone gets hooked by Nautilus. Redemption is in Projecti's pocket if they can live long enough to actually utilize it. That could maybe change the outcome of one of these fights. We've seen them get some picks in the past. They do have an Elder Dragon to play for, but for the next minute and 30 seconds, the job is just to get as much gold as possible, as much experience as possible. Try your hardest to get back into this game and to have the items necessary to put you over the edge for this coming fight, as Public Execution will go wide.
Not the worst in the world. Again, just seeing if you can fish out another kill. But for DMEV, feels like they kind of stalled themselves out, said, look, we don't really want to push. We want the Baron. We want that 70% chance of crushing you where you stand. They're going to take the easy way, the slower route to victory, which I can still pretty much get behind. We haven't even talked about Wasabi. 5, 1, and 6 Rabadons plus Shadow Flame plus Luden's Echo. This is a build meant to destroy HP bars of the likes of Arya and Projecki. 2k HP ain't gonna be anything in the face of the Electrocute proc. For TSG though, they're saying a Death Brush is what we need. Grouping up right now. Quick sweep of 1. Mr. Fluffy looking for another chance on the back end. What a hook that Spy sends that out, but it might be a bait at the end of the day. Quick knock up onto the support, but how much more are you gonna get? It's a lilting lullaby onto quick cleanse out, but it's enough time to burn through Mr. Fluffy. And it's TSG not getting any sort of favorable light. They try and chase onto Cripsus, but guess what? Wasabi in the back line assassinates Projecki. Zation though able to get a great slam against the wall into a double stun. Will they work? TSG working their magic, but it ain't enough because guess who's still alive? It's Wasabi and Reynars who are going to clean up. Meanwhile, it's J-Bear in the base. DMEV in a 4v5 will claim an ace and the rest of the base.
I was so happy for a moment, like, wow, TSG, they're really showing such fight. I can't believe they're competing in this team fight. And then hard cut, J-Bear's like, yeah, I'm not playing your guys' game. I'm trying to win this. I'm trying to go home, go to bed, on my way to the finals. 2 games in a row putting themselves at match point. DeathMark Esports Voltigeurs in a commanding lead of this series.
From start to finish, it really didn't feel like anything changed. And I have to say it starts on the bot side. I really feel like Reynars and Spy have consistently figured out weak points of Arya and Projecti. We mentioned before, Arya, not a standard ADC, but really has filled in the role quite well. But now you're starting to see a lot of these flaws, these matchups that we assume go one way or the other, just haven't really lended itself to a good favor. And that's where we see it feels like Team 6 Gaming kind of falter at the very end. So, Jack, I want to ask you, Team 6 Gaming, one last game to try and turn it around. They need to win 2 in a row. What are you hoping to see from the squad that has so far gotten off on the wrong foot 2 games in a row?
They have to diagnose their faults specifically in this matchup. When you're playing against a bottom lane that is so aggressive, and now they're playing that same style without some of the cheesier picks, the Pikes, the Elises. They're doing it on Nautilus. That means they can probably do it on Rel. They can probably do it on Leona. You have to move away from these range supports. I understand that that's what you're comfortable on, but Alistar, Rel, these are the champs that are going to allow you to contest these bottom lanes and give you better early game 3v3s so you don't keep falling this far behind on objectives on that side.
Yeah, we'll see if they can pull it off. Right now, it is DME Voltigeurs, one game away from stepping into the grand finals of the AVL fall split, and maybe we get to see them at that grand championship. We are going to go to one more break before we get back for Game 4's draft, so don't go anywhere. We'll be here in just a bit. They don't give us any time to talk. We're headed into game number 4 with TSG still on the blue side, DMEV on that red, and an immediate ban of the mid lane, Jamie as well as Wasabi, both losing signature champions once again.
I loved the strategy out of DeathMark Esports in that last game. Pinch the mid lane pool, force Jameeb onto something either less comfortable or a worse matchup, especially once you get to this point where so many of Team 6's bans have to be focused on specific players. You do not want to be on Serious Point and giving over Darius or giving over any top priority pick. I also think this is a good point to mention in doing some research. Crypsis has been playing a lot of Rumble in the jungle, so that's a flex they may be looking towards. This is where, if you've been practicing it, you want to pull out some of these special picks that in the draft you can try and gain an advantage and then pull that advantage into the game.
Maybe they can, maybe they can't. It's all up to the players themselves. DMEV have been on very hot rolls so far. TSG haven't really been able to bounce back as the Darius and Zinzao banned out once again. Noxus versus Ionia, both taken off the table. Jace and Azir 5 costs versus not in the game anymore, but you know, hey, maybe you can find it in there. The Jace permanently banned though still gives a lot of grief, I think, because some teams want to play it, and sometimes it's a little bit of bait, like we saw with the Malphite previously. DMEV, one last ban. What are you looking at? It's still that Nico at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just so strong, and I feel like for Team 6, with the range support being such a priority, Nico would have obviously been grabbed. Another champ that's been banned throughout the series, Corki, will be the first pick, like I said, for Arya. And we've been talking about this is a top lane main. Now they're coming in. I think Corki's one of the better champs to get your hands on. Feels much like a solo laner. I mean, it was for so long, primarily mid lane. But for DeathMark, it's also the type of champion that Reynars is extremely familiar with. If there's anyone who would know the counters, it's them. I think Caitlyn does a very good job. You outrange it a majority of the game. That Gatling gun does not get the same effect it would otherwise. And my favorite champ no one is playing, Sejuani. It got every one of its abilities buffed and still wasn't getting pulled out, so we're going to get it right now.
Yeah, match up with pace. You can catch out the Corki very, very quickly. This almost forces a savior ADC to come out, either that or a cleanse to come out as well, which I think hampers your ability to trade off against the Caitlyn. Is a dangerous spot to be in for anyone on the side of TSG, considering how aggressive Cripsus has also been willing to take a lot of these fights. Now, I like this call out. Looking like a Mundo in the jungle, or you can put it up to the top side. However, for both squads, they have been leaving top side as the last picks in both B5 and R5. So I am leaning towards the impression of a Mundo jungle coming out from Mr. Fluffy, another champion that is quite good at farming, getting the kills, and becoming a meat tank at the very end of the day.
It's also good just to have on your roster as Syndra is grabbed. I like that adaptation to get your mid lane early. You see that DeathMark are trying to pinch the pool. Let's grab something that was banned phase 2 last game. Let's make sure that Jameeb's on something strong. And then back on that Mundo, probably jungle. That is the primary spot. But if you are going to get later in this draft and realize we really need a tank top, can just be slotted right away. I love the Gwen pick. Even if it's not Mundo top, Zacian's bread and butter is tanks. Gwen destroys them, and the best synergy with Sejuani, able to reset those autos constantly, apply the permafrost so quickly, and it just fits into their mindset so well.
Yeah, very, very accelerated base if you can get the Sejuani off, if you can get into the lanes very quickly, which is why we are seeing those anti-gank synergies being taken away. The Volibear is a one-directional champion that farms, immediately scatters into a fight, building that Dusk and Dawn. We've seen them do a lot, so trying to make sure that doesn't come through for TSG. Focus on that mid lane. Because you drafted the Corki into the ADC position, that range is extremely short. You need to also focus the mid lane, trying to give this Syndra a much more favorable matchup here into game number 4. Will it actually happen is a whole different story. Last ban to come out here for DMEV. Are you focused still into that top side role? Are you looking to still ban out maybe a jungler, assuming that Mundo is still a flex position at the end of the day? One last pick is the Nasus. Okay, I like that call down, banning out a Zacian special.
I this whole time I was like, I don't know if I even want to see him play it. It's his most played solo queue, and I'm looking at this comp and I go, I don't know how loose down Nasus fits in here, but they do take it away. There's no chance that we will see it. I think if you are TSG, continuing on that mid pool, maybe giving Wasabi a taste of their own medicine, it is going to be the Braum. They both like to go for comps that can engage, want to continue going forward, and Braum halts that very well. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw mid lane picked now, is what I was saying, and I was thinking something along the lines of like an Akali, but Yone is so good at contesting the Syndra, so good at getting on the back line, and when you have all this mobility with the Sejuani, the Gwen, the Yone, it makes Corki's Valkyrie, it makes it look so paltry, like he's got nothing.
The other side is we keep seeing a Syndra in the bot side. It could be that Corki and the Yone, like you were just mentioning. There's so many little flex options that we're a little bit scared of, which is why I like the Alistar coming out here. Great knockback ability to keep one opponent away. Granted, you can only knock back one. It's either going to be the Yone, the Gwen, or the Sejuani. You have to pick your litter and pray that the Pulverize catches more as well. Last chance out here. The Fiora at the end. TSG saying stop the meta, push the comfortable. We are going all out for our tournament lives here in the ABL.
Zacian is hearing all of the comments. You're first in KDA as a top laner. Why aren't you dying more? Why aren't you fighting? Oh, you play Ornn, you play Gnar, Shen, Sion. You're not a real top. No, this guy's #1 KDA for a reason. Pulls out one of the most volatile laners in the game. Is going to go toe-to-toe with that Gwen, with J-Bear. Try and show off they're more than just a weak sider. They can carry, they can run down a game. I love seeing the Alistar come out. It's exactly what we said before we went into break. They need to embrace the engage support. And Leona on the other side, such great follow-up, but also at such a long range can start that change CC going, follow up by a Glacial Prison, then that Fate Sealed. I mean, there can be so much burst put out quickly onto any of these carries. But Team 6, they've got snowball potential.
They have extreme snowball potential, but that also means they have the ability to be stopped in their tracks at the start if they don't get a good start off, and it has been DeathMark specifically being able to get early leads by getting early kills, by finding enemy junglers, or just picking up a dragon here and there. All eyes are on DME Voltigeurs as they hunt for a third win, and they want to close it out at a 3-1 stance for Team 6 Gaming. Though they're hoping for a 5th game on the horizon, and they're hoping to push us to a game number 5. At the current moment, though, we're going to make sure that we get loaded in nice and proper. So let's go ahead and kick into a short break from a word from our sponsor to keep you entertained. Don't go anywhere, the ABL. We'll be right back.
マーケットは迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。あ、ボクセット？
大丈夫？
でも直接来てくれたの？これって
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう、全マーケット。
Clouds move closer, but with a deepest red. Oh, beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till you're lost in. Don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day, 'cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never
Time to go as we're headed back onto the Rift for TSG. It's a hope and a half as you need 2 victories to secure your place. For DMEV, it's just one more game before you can walk on through to next week. It all comes down to this, or at least partially this way. Sejuani, though, for you, Jack, you were very excited.
Oh, I am so excited, and I realized as we were loading in, I mentioned the Gwen synergy, but they've got it in the mid lane as well. When Sejuani was one of the top junglers back in around like 2022, 2023, this was a very common strategy: melee mid, melee top, Sejuani jungle, and then long range out of your AD carry. It was usually Ashe, Varus, or Caitlyn. Obviously this game we've got Caitlyn. And for Reynar's, back onto something with a lot of agency, using the brushes incredibly well to get headshots.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Arya eats about 50% HP, and Arya has been taking very interesting trades. Opted for the Gatling gun early, which can do damage as the same battles, but you're not doing sustained damage at this point. So already down half HP, already had to burn through the pot, which means Reynar's and Spy get a very comfortable position in this push threat, and Spy gonna hit level 2 quickly. Means Arya has to play underneath their tower.
I am unbelievably impressed with Spy's growth over the course of this series. When I took a look in scouting, looked at their season overall, did just seem like a very coin flippy player, always on the edge, but not always considering the risk. And throughout this series, went from that over aggression to much more measured, thoughtful, only going in when the rate of success is high enough, using vision so well, and part of Reynar's fitting in to these last couple games so effortlessly in these changing roles is thanks to Spy's evolution throughout the series, as we see in this top lane, Jaybear and Zacian fighting it off, both of them bringing Ignite into this lane.
Yeah, but Zacian bringing another thing into this lane matchup that has made the HP even, taking tower shots. Has taken 2 so far in the laning phase, and just, it doesn't feel great. Mr. Fluffy and Spy, though, equaling out, and that leaves Reynar's a little bit worse for wear, having to flash away from danger. Spy was on a warning mission, and it did not work out in their favor. So well done to TSG defending their home turf.
Yep, you do not want to go behind early when you're facing some of these key champions like the Syndra, who has a stacking mechanic, those splinters heading towards their upgraded abilities. Corki as well has insane item spikes, much like Ezreal. Once you get that Triforce, once you get that Manamune stacked up as Ignite is used here.
Oh boy, it's all one down, and Jaybear, last snip of the scissors, cuts Zacian's soul away. Difficult times as DMEV once again pull ahead with first blood.
This feels like a completely different top lane duo. This is something we have not seen all series long. Both of them starting at around half HP. Zacian, an incredible vital position, takes advantage of it. Both of them use their ignites. It just comes down to Jaybear being able to maneuver with those vitals being applied better than Zacian, and that comes down to maybe, you know, what we talked about. That is not a comfortable champ potentially for Zacian in the Fiora. Not something they've played throughout the course of this season. And now you see Projecki, another person we have to keep our eyes on throughout this entire game. Much more focused on the range champs in draft. Typically, Alistar, the one that they are often going out of their way to grab, as great buffer on those traps.
That's very, very annoying to watch for. Oh, you got another one. Oh, you got another one. Reynar's perfectly predicts where Projecki is going to be and siphons away the hooves. Projecki cut at the knees means they are down and leaves Arya to fend for themselves for a bit.
And the way that Spy and Reynar has pulled that off, they've added so much buffer time to Caitlyn's Yordle snap traps, it's almost impossible to time them as your support is throwing out the CC. But because that Shield of Daybreak is hit first, they know exactly where Alistar is going to be. They time out the CC perfectly, get the first headshot. And thankfully, I've seen some Caitlyn stray away from this keystone. I still think that lethal tempo is by far the best. It gives you so much damage early in the game, whereas usually you're relying heavily on your headshots, on long-range autos that cannot be traded back. With lethal tempo, you can go for much longer sustained trades, and that extra damage contributes towards them getting this first kill in the bottom lane.
Right now, it's a chance and a half mid lane. Wasabi recognizing that they got to snap back to their spirit form. Difficult spot to be in because even Cripsus was on the flank option. I think it'll work in their favor. Topside Zacian trying to take chunks out. The vitals aren't in a comfortable spot, but the grand challenge has been thrown down here, as same with the needlework. Cripsus in the right spot, but the damage might not be enough. Zacian looking only level 5. Nice flash in, jump forward. It's an ignite to go down, and Zacian trying to heal through, but it ain't gonna work. Jaybear with their second kill of the game. Mid lane, Jameeb able to hold on for their life, but big wins for DMEV on the top side.
Great job by both of them. One of the most important intangible skills a top laner needs to have, as Fate Sealed dodged away from. Good job by Jameeb keeping their cool. Much better than I did, but as the Cloud Drake goes down, like I was saying, one of the most intangible skills a top laner needs to have is knowing exactly how much damage they can put out at any time. That's why you stay safe. You don't end up with those terrible dives, and Sejuani understanding they don't need to even really proc the permafrost. All they need to do is get some damage down and take turret aggro. That's all that Jaybear needs to get the kill. Puts down the ignite and just walks away. Doesn't want to see their dirty work, as another kill is gained by the Gwen. Steel caps picked up first. Very wise. You want to continue to gain advantages in this 1v1 lane. Push this to try and snowball it into something even larger.
Yeah, the pit stop for the boots ain't gonna be too bad as you're just replacing a couple old tires and looking to run on an even hotter engine if given the right opportunity. TSG recognizing that the scope and the run of the game so far is in line with games 2 and 3. How they bounce back though will be a very big question. Maybe even watching Mr. Fluffy scale up with that heart seal, which is what kind of looks like they're building right now. Double giant spell in the tank, but still needs a little bit more time as that's a flash forward. Spy forcing the cleanse out of Arya, but now they turn on to Projecti, who is only level 4. Chomper's not really landing as the cupcakes bleed out a bit more, and it will be Projecti being able to survive, but my gosh, Spy willing to dump everything for a kill.
Reynars wasn't able to keep vision long enough to hit that ace in the hole. But that's exactly what we were talking about in the draft phase. You mentioned Corki having to take cleanse, and in an already losing lane, it makes them even more passive, not able to bring something like barrier, like teleport even, to try and continuously return to lane with item advantages, or stay strong in these trades and skirmishes with the extra shielding. Meanwhile, Caitlyn has their own barrier, does not have to worry too much about those fights going the other way as Projecti walks in the lane and just kind of holds that flash, making sure that Zabi doesn't go too far forward. The Syndra matchup does look quite annoying for Yone, but I wouldn't go as far as saying it's winning for them.
You know who is winning though is Zacian for the moment. JB are able to land the last shot of the needlework to even out the HP. J-Bear has to be very careful. Zacian is starting to show a little bit more penchant for the damage output. If all the vital procs are hit at the right time, we could see a shift of the tides. That's what I'm personally watching for here. Dragon, by the way, was picked up by the side of TSG. Mr. Fluffy was able to gather that one for themselves. Meanwhile, the Grubs handed over to DMEV's side. For Zacian, you're once again getting dove underneath the tower, and you got to play a little bit safer, walk away, and give space for J-Bear to rack up that plate gold.
Again, so intelligently played. No mana on Gwen, no ignite. You're not going to be able to get the kill on the dive cleanly, and you don't know where Mundo is. So Sejuani recognizes they have no camps up on the map. Dragon isn't spawning for quite some time. No objectives to take, so they walk up. They allow their top laner to get an extra plate before they back, and then they back themselves. A solar flare hits right in between the uprights. Thank everyone who's watching this instead of the National College Football Championship. That's your little bit of football you got to see right there.
Well, the difference being is Spy is feeling like they can kick as many free throws as they like with those solar flares. I want to point out that was a blatant in front of tower solar flare. It really felt like you were tossing out a wide net, seeing what sticks, considering you know where Mr. Fluffy is. The fact that DMEV and their bot side are allowed to be this aggressive, this ballsy in the lane matchup speaks a lot to how well they're playing.
And it also kind of makes you think, over the course of this series, Mr. Fluffy, even in some of these losses, has been performing quite well, whereas this game, it's like, where the hell's the Mundo? I understand they've got their Heartsteel, they're working on completing their jungle quest, they're much farther ahead on it compared to Sejuani, but look at what Sejuani's doing in the meantime, still making good progress on the quest, affecting the lanes. Yes, a little bit behind in farm, but that's kind of the point of Sejuani, as Projecti trying to stop this recall.
Maybe they can get it. However, Arya on the back side is stunned up by Spy, who is starting to burn out a lot of that damage instead, while the junglers fight as well. This is a weird 1v1 and 1v1 and 1v1 that has led to an overall 3v3, and I really don't know who's going to win. Wasabi, though, coming around the side, does have Fate sealed to give him the right opportunity and snap right on to Mr. Fluffy, who is going to try and turn it around to pick up a kill on Reynars. Nice little headbutt, though, to stop Wasabi from going any further, but Mr. Fluffy is going to watch the HP bar drop. Masochism being spent on a Projecti trying to run interference. It will be the poor support to go down at the end. It's a rough spot to be in. At the end of the day, DMEV winning the war of attrition here in the Jungle River.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't really have the target selection necessary to come away with a bigger win in that situation. Some people were focused on trying to dive the back line and get all the members dead. Some people were peeling for the Caitlyn, trying to just get Mr. Fluffy. In the end, Mr. Fluffy doesn't even go down, but they do pick up at least one kill for their troubles. Sejuani did flash for it, but at this point, it's well worth it. A lot of Sejuanis will often not even bring Flash onto the Rift, opt for the Ghost because of how often your Arctic Assault is up and available. This time, Flash being brought leads to an early kill, and we do see now Projecki trying to be on this top lane, but I'm pretty sure J-Bear is just going to recall, and there's not even a wave for Fiora to use to try and hit that turret, take advantage of the crystalline that's built up. So now J-Bear is still in a 1v2 until Alistar backs, which does look like they are going to complete. So no real respite as Projecki does stay on this top side of the map.
I think it's a bad spot to be in, but it's also very dangerous. This is TSG recognizing that they got to do some crazy play to get a victory, so they're trying to hammer in some sort of victory. Zacian now, they're getting dove underneath the tower as the tower did fall already, and there's no way out as Zacian goes down mid lane. Brawl starts to break out here as Fate Seal crashes across multiple. Jamie running away, but a good catch from Mr. Fluffy forcing Cryptus away. Nice Scatter of the Weak slows down Wasabi, but full wind up on those swords will knock up Projecki once again. Nobody faltering at the very end, which is more than enough, I feel, for DMEV, but for TSG, a little bit frustrated because J-Bear is getting so much free time in the top lane.
Yeah, there's not really the completed items necessary in that little mid-game, mid-lane skirmish to come away with a bunch of kills, but now Mundo goes where he pleases. He's already been taking all these top lane camps.
Hey, all right. The Mundo jungle goes where he pleases and is looking to push the enemy jungler out of the way. Wasabi almost snapping away that red buff, but Mr. Fluffy getting it with an axe to the back. Projecki now slowing down J-Bear on the return. As Zacian is looking for a bit of revenge. No ability to get the stun down, but finally gets it. J-Bear, lots of HP. Riposte barely able to do much. Zacian about to go down. Final heal to come out with a Q behind will lead to Zacian getting that kill, but so many resources expended once again.
One riposte aside, J-Bear could have done the impossible. They do finally get caught out. They did build the Dusk and Dawn. We've been talking about all night long. This very strong item allows you to avoid a Nashor's Tooth purchase potentially. Does look like they are going to grab that Nashor's as well. Dusk and Dawn, essentially a Lich Bane alternative that gives health, attack speed, and ability haste. And a little bit less damage on paper, as it does look like Sejuani caught out here.
I don't think there's any way for you to really get out. No flash available, so you're just dead. Unfortunately, kill handed over to Projecki of all people, which it's not bad, but you wish you could have given it to a carry or two. TSG, though, wandering into the spot side. Cinder rolling up through the lane. Mr. Fluffy straight up chasing. Flash is available for Reynards, and a really good flash to get away from the headbutt. Unbreakable Will being utilized. Another Scout of the Week will chase Spy into the corner. Ace in the hole, crashing straight through, but it barely does any damage as Wasabi holding on for dear life. Gets stunned up. Nice axe to the back of the head. And Mr. Fluffy doing their best at the frontline duties. TSG getting nothing on the bot side, but neither does DMEV.
I think Wasabi's realizing there, after they did hit their own Yone banana combo, they see their bottom lane doesn't really have the damage just yet to provide, but Arya is found out in the mid lane.
That's a spot to be in. Very poor on Arya. They are getting picked on this entire game long, nay, the series long, after that amazing Ezreal gameplay. So you'll rougher and rougher as now at 16 minutes, DMEV hauling in a nice 2.5k lead.
Yeah, and it's exactly where you want it to be. It's on the Gwen in the top side. It is on the Sejuani. You might be thinking, well, that's our tank. That's not a huge deal, but the amount of items that can come through from the Sejuani make them unkillable for the duration of the game.
And not only that, being able to catch even more Mr. Fluffy. No magicism. Can't even say the word because of how quickly he died. Mr. Fluffy lost in the sauce. And now it's DMEV to start rolling through these global objectives.
This is what happens when you play this aggressive snowball style. It is 100 miles per hour from the jump. There's no time to breathe. And if you're the team caught up in its wake, it's really difficult to go from a team that plays very measured League of Legends, tries to just win through macro. They have a very winning strategy, team composition. Now you're playing against a team that wants to fight constantly, and you see they are trying to replicate the type of plays that we would see DeathMark Esports pull off, and they just don't have the coordination to do so. It reminds me a lot. I'm going to make a reference that people are going to say, no way you're referencing Gen G in a game like this, but it's a lot of the reasons that teams like Gen G struggle at international events. You play the macro, you play the map, and then you go up against a team that's looking to punch you in the face, and you just don't have the practice to know how to respond.
It's a difference between a sword fight, I feel like, and a brawl, right? Just like straight up pugilist styles of beatdowns. It's a problem. 100% I agree with you. DMEV throwing a haymaker left, right, and straight on. And now Zacian just getting chewed through. That fight did not go their way. Jameeb also getting slaughtered on the back end. It's becoming more and more unhinged as DMEV slowly wrap up this fight, and TSG are just lost in the sauce. Dragon once again handed over DMEV's way.
When every single player at this high caliber has a champion capable of making plays, you really just run the map. It's only on paper a little under a 3k gold lead, but it just feels like every single champ so far ahead. They all synergize so well with one another. And on the flip side, you know, Team 6 do have tools. They have a great frontliner in Mundo. Once Projecki hits that Unbreakable Will, they join that class as well. Arya still waiting on this next item, not going for the Triforce, opting for that Essence Reaver that's recently been buffed and seen as so strong. Syndra still lagging behind a bit as well, and J-Bear running away knowing they don't have the numbers advantage. But honestly, if this were just Mundo Gwen, I do not like Gwen, or I don't like Mundo's odds in that chance.
I would actually agree. As you're hunting over the wall, take a little bit of a chase, and Projecki steps up to the wrong pace, because guess what? Cryptus is coming around the side. It's going to be a 1v1 and a 1v1. It looks like Cryptus is looking for a little bit more. Stomps on top of that health pack, and Mr. Fluffy has to get out of town. But at the current moment, the rest of DMEV looking for a way to prep for this Baron that is coming up in about 50 seconds.
And you got to wonder, when are TSG going to pull the trigger? We saw some attempted comebacks earlier in this series where a couple of picks were made, but it was just comp difference. They couldn't complete that comeback, and I'm really just impressed as we see them shift their focus towards the Baron, how well they are recovering mental-wise, as again, just caught on the side lane is Jameeb.
It's just never ending. Like, I don't... Wasabi's too strong right now. Reynar's way too strong right now. J-Bear's way too strong right now. It feels like everything is falling into DMEV's hands. A team that, when we were looking on paper, struggled against Ember Fortnite, and now making such quick work of TSG. We need to see TSG wake up at the 11th hour if they want a chance at a Game 5.
I do think there might be some that underestimated this team, not only because of the head-to-head loss, obviously that is a fair judgment to make, the reverse sweep last week, but when you look at their records, their series records, it's 5-2 to 6-0. That's not terrible. Zacian, lowest deaths in the league, about to go 1-5. I mean, it's just a complete collapse from what we're used to seeing.
Even the scout of the week feels scary, right? Like, Wasabi could be like, I'm so done with you. Like, stop trying to kill me, and would turn on Jameeb. However, with Mr. Fluffy in the range, maybe he can do something else. Flash isn't available, so final action back to head will be this 3v1 position. Are they able to give the kill over to Jameeb? They give it over instead to Mr. Fluffy, but guess what? The Baron started up. Team even don't care about the mid laner. They say, we got the big purple worm, and that's all this bird wanted.
Yep. Appreciate it, Wasabi. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. We've got the Baron buff, and won't even result in this bot lane turret being taken. J-Bear wisely using that quest teleport to get down here. You want to give over as little as possible, and for a cross map, yes, the shutdown kill is quite nice. One of the better people to find on the other side of the map, but for those of you who somehow, maybe you just tuned in, maybe you're part of that raid and you don't realize just how strong J-Bear's been, they just got Riftmaker. So for as much damage as they've been dealing, they will now be healing and sustaining that much. This is actually the perfect test for it. Who's going to be able to stop J-Bear?
Absolutely nobody, and I don't think anyone even wants to test it with the TB coming in on the side. An absolute pincer of a flank. Everybody joining in from the side of DeathMark as they mark every member of TSG for death. 5 strong here on the bot side. Top side being pushed by Zation, but it's only 1. Remember, it's 3 grubs that were stolen away by DMEV. They clear the tower in such quick pace that TSG can only stand and wonder.
And is Zation even going to trade? They do eventually. Yone does not want to press their luck and push forward now. The members of DeathMark moving towards that middle lane. They aren't necessarily pushing on multiple lanes. They're trying to defend the base from Zation on the other side, but a pick now found.
And maybe a little bit more. Arya taking down 1 more tick would be enough, and they do. Spy gathers their own. Mid tower fall as well. At this point, it's just dominoes. DMEV happy with what they've got. However, gets out of the week. Reynard's running away, tries to step a little bit further away, but you are just now down. However, J-Bear around the back said, you kill our ADC, we'll kill the rest of you. Scout of the week catches on to 2, but Crypsis is still alive, and J-Bear is healing on top of everyone. J-Bear cutting away their life support. Wasabi doing the same as the rest of TSG are sprinting for the hills, but the hills are just that, hills. They aren't mountains to climb, and DMEV are experienced with this chase. Mr. Fluffy taking 1 too many tower shots, and will be able to walk their way maybe to safety. At the end of the day, it's Dragon that they want, as DMEV will get their 3rd Drake of the game.
While they may not be wearing their suit, this is still a businessman, and he uses his resources to make a grand escape, but what he leaves is a shattered company. They tried to get the Caitlyn. They do result in Reynar's first death of the game. J-Bear's not done yet. He wants this kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem, and it's J-Bear just going ham like crazy. No problem whatsoever. Looking to steal the blue buff as well. Pro Jackie can do nothing. Finally, someone is there to stop the madness that is Gwen. And they secure 1, but at the price of everything else. DMEV still standing with a 5K lead.
Does finally go towards the member you'd want it to. Syndra has a massive gold injection, only around 600 gold behind the Yone. I just looked up, it's 24-minute game. I would have thought we were at 30 at least with how much action we've had in this game. 13,000 gold for the Gwen. Has the itemization. Looks like they're going for that Shadow Flame next. Want to be able to have even more penetration, execute those low health targets. And for everything that Yone is doing, Wasabi still hasn't even completed their 2nd and final crit item. So Infinity Edge not even coming out yet. Reynar's does have the IE in inventory. This is just a team so well constructed, so well itemized for what they are up against. The only real difficulty still is this Mundo. Has the Dead Man's Plate and very well stacked Heartsteel, now going towards an MR item to try and deal with the Gwen, but Zation caught out again on this bot lane. Luckily got Mundo in the vicinity.
It's a danger, all right. The Mundo is there to at least temper some expectations. But honestly, DMEV are still going where they please this time around. Looking to clear some of the freestanding gold. We're trying to at least push in the wave and spend the rest of what they have. Bearing up in about a minute, that could be their ticket to breaking open the enemy base. And if they can look for it, hey, they can go ahead and gather. Eyes out as TSG recognize that their fates are sealed in just a few more minutes unless they do something to pull it back.
That something is going to have to come in less than a minute. You do not want to be giving over multiple Barons in this game. You're in a position with objective bounties where a steal would be beneficial, but with a champion like Mundo as your jungler, it's so difficult. You need to have your passive up, but without flash being available, based on timer on the scoreboard, I don't believe that it is up and available. It's just so difficult for Mundo to get into the pit, despite what you may believe about where he goes and when he goes where he pleases. There's a Sejuani on board sitting right in his face, and he cannot continue pushing forward as the rest of the team now well equipped to deal damage. The Mortal Reminder in Caitlyn's inventory. They are stepping up rather aggressively, but I think it is with the understanding that even if they do get engaged on, even if they do get picked off, it will most likely lead to a winning fight for DeathMark Esports.
Hopefully they can get it. Nice little scout of the week, able to catch one projectile, trying to go in. However, on the back end, it's all Wasabi. And remember, it's a 4v4, and in the 4v4, I really like DME Vizod. However, another scout of the week as Jameeb is trying to hold it down, but it's Caitlyn on the back end. The free fire ace in the hole allows Jaber to pick up another. It's a double kill for the Gwen as the scissors snip away the hopes of TSG rising for game number 5. And you can see on repeat the destructive force of DMEV as they hold steady with the gold, their HP, and their early game winnings.
I mean, they're just so tanky with these two Mountain Souls alone and the lack of damage on TSG. J-Bear was on the bottom side, but once he starts channeling the teleport, Zacian doesn't have their own and has no CC to stop them. Now they're looking for the win to advance to the finals.
And the finals look at them in glee. Welcome to the championship round. DeathMark Esports. They will join the halls of many as the AVL welcomes them to the grand finals.
Unbelievable shift in momentum for DeathMark Esports. We talked about it at the top of the night. Coming from a reverse sweep, all of the predictions were like, hey, they're probably going to be shaky. They're probably going to be tired, a little bit fatigued, but they come in. Yes, they dropped the first one and they just reset. And they also don't waver. They said, no, we don't think it was our style. We like our style and we're going to play it again and just make it work.
I really don't think they stopped at all. It really never ended with their constant aggression, the overbearing weight. And J-Bear specifically, you called it out. I mean, Spy was doing a great job on the bot side, but J-Bear towards the end just got better and better in there. And we really do want to take a look at this because J-Bear went off 33,000 damage alone. 12-2-2, and not only that, the amount of objective taking with the towers, J-Bear was on a streak this game.
Absolutely, and goes to show you the Sejuani champ really enables those laners. It started with a dive onto the Fiora and compounded from that point onward. And it's so funny, we talked about whether or not DeathMark would have to move off Comfort for them to win, and in the end, they were able to force Team 6 off Comfort and make them play their own style. And you see, when you have those best of threes throughout the regular season, you have a much more open, fearless draft, but you get in these best of fives, you get into these game 4s, there's more off the table, you're able to take more away, and credit to their strategy, it took them all the way to the finals.
Yep, I really can foresee this squad doing even better. However, we have gotten word, and I think you mentioned this before, that on the other side, Drop Dead Gaming Cloud were bowled over by Westside. Westside, the other first seed coming out of their group, will be leading the charge against DeathMark Esport Voltigeurs. So I'm excited to see this matchup come next week. Jack, tonight has been thrilling in more ways than one. one, we learned how to get around a few issues that came up with the Riot client, and now we get to see one more go. Next week will be the closing of the AVL season, but of course more is on the horizon with Aegis, so make sure to stay tuned to the socials for all the goodies coming up soon. My name is Orbital. With me has been Jack. We want to give a big shout out to Macros on the production side as well, and to all teams that joined us here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week, same time, same place.
Bro, just use Zen Market.